Okie dokie. Okay, so previously in Eridon, you all escaped your imprisonment at the hands of Moira, a Talon of Daenor, and fled the confines of Lux Monastery. Through this effort of escaping to the south with your Ithilwinge allies, the pact you had made with Moira was broken, leaving on your skin a hellish brand that sears the skin above your heart. But your allies were able to provide naval transport to an elven encampment along the coast, and Princess Minerva herself collected you for teleportation to Athenian, the Moonset Grove. After a brief chance to speak with the Aranil, Tenufeo Lunsong, and even the ex-queen of Creatia, Alaya Jerket, you were granted lush rooms that you were familiar with, within which to recover and prepare for more conversation in the morning. It is now midnight, past midnight, in the early morning darkness of Morndas, the 17th of Sun's dawn. You all have the opportunity now to rest before rising at sunrise to meet with the Aranil and the Queen. What are each of you doing, if anything, during your long rest?
Lorndas what?
Morndas, the 17th Sun's dawn.
Thanks. Does anyone have the session number?
88.
Nice.
Snowman. Roulette is parallel processing in her brain every other project that she's continuing to work on, and then everything that she's reading about in the journal or the journal notes with respect to Jiri and trying to puzzle that out somehow.
Got it. How about Jiri? How's Jiri doing now that you have a more comfortable environment within which to rest? Is there any change in your demeanor, personality, etc.? You at least can hobble your way, supporting your own weight with your movement now that you've been partially restored by Tobirama.
Yeah, I think Jiri just kind of curled up in bed. He hasn't been very talkative, hasn't really said much to anybody, and kind of just looks like he's exhausted and needs some sleep. So he will take this opportunity to get some rest in the comfort of I'm assuming some nice beds that we got here.
Yes, definitely.
He just seems
Perfect.
troubled. He, just doesn't seem himself. And so he's off kind of independently doing his own thing and not really doing much.
Okay. How about any of the others of you? Anything of note?
I have a quick question. After this long rest, will we be the next level up, or is it prior to this long rest?
Really, it kind of almost doesn't matter, but upon completion of the long rest, we can all refresh stat sheets, make sure we've leveled up to level 11. It is kind of prior to that you guys gained the experience with which to hit that, but you don't immediately regain expended spell slots and that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So you guys have come a long way in your recent challenges, so you've definitely earned that next tier of competence. How about Toby or Telperion? Anything?
Telperion is reading the journal. And pretty much exclusively doing that.
Okay. Toby?
And Toby is deep in prayer going into the long rest and just is thinking through how he can help Jiri tomorrow. We learned a lot from Moira. I think we can learn some more come the morning. And then once we know as much as we can move forward with helping Jiri.
Okay. Well, many individuals being contemplative, meditative, reading, researching, or just recovering, nothing will prevent a calm and restful night ahead of you. So everyone can go ahead and trigger that long rest if you haven't already. All spell slots come back. You can reattune to whatever things you need to attune to. A fresh new
Ignore that.
start.
Those
And roulette is up to no good.
Jesus.
Okay. Well, around, it feels almost too quickly that you are all roused from your sleep with knocks at your respective doors, as Selethar knights have come to collect you all at the arrival of dawn this morning, so that you can once more meet with the Aranil and the Queen. Do you guys rise, collect various belongings, leave some stuff behind?
I mean, I'll take the usual stuff with me.
Okay.
I got my quiver, so there's a ton stored in there.
Okay. Well, as we start the morning, kind of rousing a bit, preparing for a new day to head downstairs for important conversations, you guys can be escorted downstairs by the Selethar. Once more, not to the throne room itself, but the room behind the throne room where you had just discussed last night with those two leaders. And as we start to move in that direction, we should maybe hop zoom.
Oh yeah, perfect timing.
I get to see all those threes on my cantrips. 3d8, 3d6.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the toll the dead 3d12's really fucked up.
Plus
So,
a d8.
That's so fucked
Plus
up.
11.
so what's weird is ooh, 3d6 for my mind sliver. Half as strong as Toll the Dead. Brutal.
Yeah, but int save, not whiz save, so that's meaningful. More likely to work.
Well, Andy is a negative d4, so it's got little
Yeah.
fun twists to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Good morning, Mother. Good morning, Elia.
Good morning, Forsaken Winds. The Aranil greets you all, and she and Queen Elia are already present here in this audience chamber, and I will make them visible once again.
Chris, so have I healed another round of exhaustion?
It depends on you, because although you are given appropriate levels of sleep and rest, if you're still at a point where you're not really eating food that's provided to you or drinking sufficient water, if you're sort of not taking care of yourself on that level, then you are not gaining recovery. So that's kind of up to you and what Jiri's
Okay.
doing.
I'll stay at 4 then.
Okay.
Jerry, just eat the soup.
It's just broth.
Not really hungry.
Well, thank you all for rising this morning. I am sorry to require your attendance so quickly after you've arrived. I would prefer to avail you of more rest and time to recuperate over days, perhaps, but we must waste no time. I will cede the floor to Queen Elia, who has suggestions and proposals for our way forward in Creatia. Yes, greetings again, all of you. As the Aranel suggested, I have spent much time discussing with certainly Kari, the Aranel herself here, and Magnus when we've been able to. I wish to avail you of some knowledge of the ongoings at Ostenis, and then suggest reason for my proposal that we march at the capital at once. Firstly, the situation at Ostennis is rather harsh. Peoples of non-humanoid descent are treated poorly by the Durastian army. Strict curfews are enforced, beatings take place if they are broken, and there is a omnipresent oppressive hand placed upon that city, my home. Through my history, I have come into possession of knowledge of various subterranean routes between various cities and locations throughout Creatia, which is what availed me of Enkari, of our transport to and from Athros, from Creatia and the coastlands and Mersenia and otherwise. We were able to amass a small rebellion force, at least suitable for transporting goods, storing supplies, providing outfitting and foodstuffs to the people of Atheros for some time, to buy them time in the siege. But in Ostennis proper, Zavar sits occasionally upon the throne of the Prism Palace. He flits here and there, checking on things throughout the city, and then the following day he might be gone for weeks at a time, back home in Daenor. His attendance seems sporadic, somewhat infrequent, and certainly unpredictable. There have been times we have tried to blend into the populace of Ostennis and surveil the surroundings, and at his arrival we quickly left. It was difficult to gauge his approach, when it would happen. When he is gone, Vitria, Talon of Daenor, herself sits on the throne. Mostly an ego trip to a degree, in my opinion, but she does command with competence the forces at that city, and that those of which have made supply lines to Atheros in the siege or other depots throughout Creatia. And my Dawn, Elise Ignoril, once commander of Creatia's Glass Guard, has been reduced to a docile dog, keeping to Vitria's dark shadow. I still have great love for her, but my heart has already broken, and in its place has grown anger and bitterness. And her disloyalty is infuriating, and even more infuriating is that I know she is doing what she deems right, for she owes no allegiance entirely to me, but to her people, and she believes she is doing the best to keep them safe. She has some level of control over their well-being as long as she plays along in the Durastian army's will. Perhaps there is room in her heart to join with us someday. But perhaps she will die on this new hill she finds herself on. I'm not sure. One final bit of insight. There is a curious and mysterious being, only referred to in rumors as the Maker, that has been in the control of Durast's forces. I have not been, neither Kari nor I have been able to suss out whether this is simply a general in command of forces or perhaps some sort of quartermaster that arms them with their weapons and perhaps as an intermediary with Moira to produce and distribute dread iron where possible. I'm not quite sure of their well-being or even their nature. They are only whispered in rumors, and it is surely at the Maker's intuition, utilizing someone else's original ingenuity, with a glance over to Roulette, that she has implored a force of infernal spheres, hellish magic animating these iron guardians that stalk the streets and act as sentries for Durast's forces. Rather sufficiently, it was very difficult for us to slip in and out of that city, and after a time we stopped trying altogether. They are very perceptive.
I'll just jot some notes very specifically of like what the internal core looks like, and then effects of destroying the internal core with explosion. I'll rip it out. Your Highness, just it might be worth passing out to your generals just some extra information about those infernal spheres.
Elia sort of nods to Aranil Tenufale, who then takes your scrap of paper and calls over a knight of the Selethar and passes it to him, whispering something in Elven to him, and then he leaves the chamber. These are some of the ongoings at Ostenis. But what I think is more prudent for this conversation is the ongoings at the Tripost, the meeting of all three nations of Durast, Bellidonia, and Creatia, the northeastern edge of our nation. It would appear from Princess Minerva's relaying of information from you all that it was suggested by the king himself that negotiations had been finalized. That does not seem to be the case. I'm not sure whether King Zavar was merely trying to intimidate you in his presence, or whether he actually believed it had taken place at that time. I can't speak to why he might have spoken falsely, but it does not appear that any formal agreements have been struck at this time.
Did he not say something about how it would be settled within the week? Wasn't that his language? I don't know the message you were told from Toby.
Perhaps that is true. And it definitely could be the case that these discussions in diplomatic affairs are nearing a conclusion that does not lie in our favor. But at this time, at least we know that no deal has been struck, and we are not facing off against two nations against which we surely would fall. Notably, based on Magnus's astute observations and dealings in his time at Elandris, in the guise of their Claw of the Court, Nazim, has gauged a few whereabouts going on at the Tripost. It appears that the general of Belladonia's entire military, Grand Marshal Alistair Belacqua, along with Commanders Brynja Tanith and Callan Ursa of the Pegasus and Griffin Knights, respectively, all are involved in these negotiations, all three of which are in person at the Tripost. Yes.
With new proper nouns, can we get those in the chat?
Absolutely.
There's a Pegasus name.
Grand Marshal Alistair Belacqua, Commander Brynja Tanith of the Pegasus Knight Force Fleets.
Dude, fucking sick.
And Commander Callan Ursa, Griffin Knight Force Fleet. The fact that all three of these quite formidable individuals are holding audience there shows me how seriously Belladonia is considering Durast's offers, whatever those may be. Specifically, Alistair and Brynja have a rather dutiful reputation in their unwavering allegiance to their nation and to the Oracle of Aurorus. I have met them each a handful of times myself in various diplomatic ventures. They are unlikely to be swayed by mere diplomatic conversation. They can be stubborn to a fault and prioritize always protocol over intuition. But Commander Callan has long held a reputation of employing unconventional strategies in victories with his troops, which has earned him the unwavering loyalty of his own forces and the unquestionable respect of his peers. After discussing with Magnus at length where we have had the opportunity to do so, we have both identified Commander Callan as our best chance to engage Bellidonia with diplomacy for war aid. Bellidonia may stand to gain much land and resource if they come to some agreement with Durast in the immediate outlook, but if they are willing to wait even as much as a month, which should not be too tall of a request to achieve, they could stand to gain much more should we prove victorious in overthrowing Durastian rule in Creatia. Magnus will find a way to make contact. Of this I am sure. The other leg of this effort remains entirely up to the United King Army and my pending proposal. There is little time with which to fully prepare for an onward march, but if we can oust Durast's seat in Ostennis and perhaps regather the lost forces at Mersenia along the way, with a nod to Nufiel, Bellidonia would certainly capitalize on the shifting landscape and ally itself with our armies, Creatia, Bellidonia, and Chimeras all, to push back Durast and even aid us in a march further northward to rid the world of this brute King Zavar, whose tyranny has stained this land for now far too long. It is a striking proposal. I'm sure the United Kin Army was likely looking for months of warfare reinforcement, seizing other opportunities along the way to bolster its presence in the nation before making such a drastic move. But I fear we have both no choice and no flexibility to overlook such an efficient move. We will need the forces at Mersenia to aid us, and we will need to reinforce Athros with every single troop we have stationed at For's Hollow, Chimeras, and the Emerald Forest, so that we can march with an all-on assault toward the capital, Ostennis. Our forces, to be clear, should outnumber their forces in Ostennis. So victory should be achievable. But we are, to put it bluntly, putting all of our eggs in a single basket. If we fail, we are finished. There will be no Creatia, and perhaps retribution may be taken to the Emerald Forest and southward still. But should we succeed, it will, I assure you, tip the scales in our favor for Bellidonia's willingness to aid us, not Durast. They are opportunistic, and they will play both sides for as long as it suits them until there is a decisive victor made apparent, and they will surely aid them. If we push Ostennis, if we free Ostennis for Durastian rule and prepare to march northward to slay the king, Bellidonia will march at our sides. You all, the Forsaken Winds, have been critical catalysts in even manifesting this great army between peoples. And Aranil, and to the Beast King, I am so thankful for your support this far. I don't deserve it, but I will use every shred of its available power to free the people of my nation. As ambassadors and generals, what are your thoughts on these matters that I've proposed? For you will be the ones marching and leading units in this skirmish. It appears Rillis, Dinah, hold up at Atheros for now, and the general, until he is freed, will be unable to assist us. You five are our generals for this task I propose, and I seek your guidance and insights.
Before we speak to what we should do, I think we've been waiting a long time to speak with you, and have learned quite a lot about these Durastians and could maybe pair your knowledge of creation and why they're doing this in the first place. Because I think looking at their long-term views impacts our short-term decisions.
It is a worthwhile question, though I fear we may not be able to fully answer it before being required to make a move. But based on my discussions with the Erenil and your sister, actually, as well as Magnus, Kari, and others I have been able to engage, it seems unquestionable that their motives do not lie in Creatia itself. It seems they did want a firmer stronghold with which to reinforce additional land so that they can march into Bellidonia. I think they were hedging their bets, so to speak, that in case Bellidonia does not ally with them as intended, they would have suitable land from which to make counterattacks and be a feasible threat to Bellidonia. But their preference, certainly, in the face of Bellidonia's militaristic might, would be to gain Bellidonia's aid against some southern threat from fear of just other cultures they do not understand or long-held centuries-old prejudices of the beasts to the south. But if Bellidonia was willing to allow some Jurastian forces to take residence in their lands, simply in the guise of communion pacts and deals being struck, they would have free access to look for whatever they're needing in Bellidonia. We may not be able to know what that is unless we are able to extract that knowledge from the king himself or his closest advisors, perhaps. And we will surely need to move before we are able to do that sort of venture. So I don't mean to be dismissive of your comment, Prince, but we should not expect a full answer before needing to make a judgment call.
With all due respect, Your Highness, I don't mean to be dismissive of your questions, but I don't think any of us are doing much of anything until we help our friend here. And I don't want to lose track of kind of what we're working on, but I've barely got an idea of how we helped Jiri. I don't know how this was helped out, and I'm like directing this more towards the Four Winds than at the Queens.
Sure.
Toby, do you have any? I don't know. Like, can you heal him, or do we need to put this thing back in him? And
Moira took a great deal from our friend Jiri, and we need to dedicate our efforts to helping him. So I certainly don't feel good about making a decision without him able to weigh in. I have some ideas, Roulette. I can glean more info about Hyperivel, who he is, maybe what broke him. Maybe that can give us help. I think we need to help Jiri certainly get rid of Jax. That persona in him is no longer helping the way that those personas are meant to help him. So I think we'll need to take all of us a trip into his mind.
You guys are muted.
Go ahead, Alex.
I would add that I have some ideas as well. So I think I definitely agree. We need to learn a little bit more about Hyperivel before we can venture back into Jiri's mind and put it back together. And I agree that before we move, we do need to heal Jiri, because he's of no use until we do.
he's of little use. He's comedic relief right now, and I will elbow Jiri a little bit.
Jiri's like slunk back as far as he can go, his head's down. He's like trying to like escape the situation right now. Everybody talking about him.
Yeah, definitely all eyes on Jiri at this point.
He looks
would-
embarrassed. Yeah.
I would say this: they likely need to start getting things in place, and it will take some time. We could give them a gauge, a temperature on how we're feeling, and then spend the rest of our day working with Cheery because they won't need us in the short term. But we could come to some small consensus on the direction we feel.
That would be sufficient for sure. I know the Aranil, and I have spoken about the available forces of the Selethar within these forests, that we can begin amassing and bolstering our units, and preparing for a grand warfare to the north, even before we know where you all stand. We will have to be putting in some measures in place immediately so that we might be able to move when you decide what your place and role is within this conflict. Until then, I actually was speaking with the Aranil briefly this morning. You were suggesting you had some resources available to the Forsaken Winds for their friend. And the Aranil speaks and says, "Indeed. Last night after your departure and retiring to your rooms, I sent a message to the Elder of the Eclipse, our esteemed organization here within Athenian. Their elder Limstella Greymire, along with two of her close attendants, Silme Loonstone and Talia Silwind, are in another room here in the palace, available for conversation should you wish. They have been working closely with my daughter, the Princess Minerva, on investigations and research into the properties of Dread Iron and trying to understand the magics at play from this witch, Moira. You may consider requesting their aid in whatever magical pursuits you want to pursue when it comes to tending to Jiri's mind. They may have some valuable insight to give. I am made aware of only the basics, but they will be able to give you an in-depth analysis of their findings and perhaps offer proposals or suggestions you might try. Or perhaps just they can facilitate the use of some of your ideas if you need components and things in order to enact your plans you have in mind. But we will certainly let you all tend to each other. And Jiri, you will have the might of our entire culture to make sure you are restored to a state of peace. Whatever that means.
I would like to share with you some things that we've learned from both Moira and our time with the King, because I think it would help. Of anyone, you two should know what we've learned. This hex metal, and can we pull out the crystal?
Sure, I will, because it's probably in the hole. I'll take out the hole.
Moira's experiments with this were that she bound the spirit of a deva to this metal, some kind of powerful divine entity, and then Jiri, in escaping from her prisons in Durast and Daenor, fused with it, and she's been very interested. When we killed Kota, we think he somehow, in the moment of his death, informed her, or showed him Jiri, and she was spying on us, and that is how she found and intercepted us and flipped that's why my father is in prison right now. Her interest in this binding was key, and we've been, Toby, could I ask you?
Mm-hmm.
Would you pull that, would you show them the amulet?
Yes.
This is the one thing they wish they could take from us, but in our pact to go with them as willing supervisors of Jiri for the week, which we did break, They wish we kept one item apiece, and we kept this from them. But the fact that this kind of metal is actually metal that's been stolen from Rome too, and they seem to really pine for this kind of thing. Metal strong enough to be fused to divine entities.
And there seems to be different capacities. If the Divinor seems adept at housing powerful things, I stand to reason there is something of great importance inside this medallion. I've not been able to suss out what yet. We know that Rome's vase was housing her. Then there's also the matter of Celestial, which seems to be able to wield and make use of the great powers that are suffused within them. I think that is the inspiration that began their Dread Iron process.
In this
What
journal,
Hudson's- yeah,
this
it-
journal here we took from Lux Monastery details the creation of these, and through our own magic 8-ball Toby here, we've been able to spy upon the past to see the formation of one of these celestial weapons, one of which the Talon, the Arknight wields. The Bident, the King wields, is also one as well, and this journal details the god dragon it was made for during the time of the Sundering. And I think it is their quest for objects and metals of this power that takes them north. Because according to this journal, the Durast was the Sunderlands, where the great dark god Kithiron Uranizir raged.
Kithrion Uranazir.
And I read that out loud from the journal, saying it for the first time. I wonder if they're trying to find his body, actually.
Tenufael stands, like, she holds her head a little bit higher, and the entire room grows a little darker, and her eyes glow a little brighter. At least it would seem that we are alone, away from the prying eyes of the witch at this moment. It would seem. If she has been able to look upon your actions, it is possible she will do so again. Maybe even likely, depending on where her priorities lie. As for the mention of these various metals, the Eclipse and I have, Limstella herself and I have discussed at length some of your discussions with Talon Koda, as well as the infiltration and theft of the Mythilene's vase in our war camp eastward in the Barrens. And we do suspect that based on your findings, we agree entirely with the Paragon, Toby Rama, that utilizing the god's power, like the celestial ancient weapons of old, does seem to play a role in the inspiration of this Dread Iron situation. But with their pursuance on Divinor, such as the base, and with this medallion, it is our suspicion that the Dread Iron process, if it is used on normal metals of this plane, it can only achieve such a limited height. Moira has been able to do great things with her transformative magics, turning standard metals into Dread Iron of higher and higher caliber qualities, it would seem, from the samples you have given us to study. But if they are searching for Divinor, and even the body of a dead god, perhaps them conducting this process on the Divinor will allow them to achieve the greater heights, to create Celestial in truth, and perhaps bind god magics to their whim. Some of this strains the imagination. But if that is their goal, they must have tangible proof that it is possible. Or just zealous commitment to the idea. I will allow you, whenever you wish, to, of course, tend to your friend, the Magus Jiri. See to his wounds, physical or mental, and you will have the weight of our people behind him, facilitating whatever magics you wish in his recovery within their capability. And for those matters, please do discuss. They are in the antechamber outside the throne room, near the banquet hall, where Limstella, Silme, and Talia reside currently. They know you will be looking to approach them with some requests. I have asked them to be flexible and accommodating. Depending on what you find, I will have Limstella give me a full report. It would seem prudent that we do remove Zavar as a threat from this war and this world, perhaps. I will let you all think of it. Thank you for discussing with us. Simply send word if you have need for another meeting. We will be both rather busy over the coming days. Very well. The banquet hall has been well furnished with foods this morning. Please do take some time and rest and recuperate. Do whatever you need to tend to your wounds. And Jiri, Gwenavonin Detheren, be well, friend. And with a slight nod of her head, the Aranil and then the Queen Elia will both take their leave from this chamber, and you are all free to pursue your plans or interact with the day how you wish, whether that's just starting out with a banquet hall and sort of breakfasts to discuss how you want to move forward, and then utilizing the aid of the Eclipse and their organization for whatever magical interactions you might be willing to try. But you guys let me know how you want to start tending to Jiri's well-being.
Let's go to we go to the banquet hall to get Elish food and talk it over.
Yeah. All sorts of foods are available. Long, beautifully hewn wooden tables, beautiful emerald and teal and sapphire drapery cloths on them. Lavish for sure. And amazing smells and foods.
Well, let us Toby.
Yeah, where are you guys at?
Well, I
wonder-
think that perhaps before we even attempt to repair the damage done to Jiri, I think that we need to understand a little bit more about Hyperabel, whether that's through understanding the history of the metal or like speaking to Hyperabel directly.
I try thinking to Hyperabel into the crystal.
Please make an intelligence saving throw.
Woof.
You're dead.
$14 plus 3 is 16. No, sorry, 17.
You take 26 psychic damage, but you recently have developed the ability to resist some of that.
Amazing.
Taking only 13 psychic damage instead. But this damage source is an absolutely unfathomable and unknowable pain and anguish anguish and screaming of loss and fragmentation, and whatever Hyperivel is right now is in true terror and torture. It is difficult to even make a connection with any semblance of an intelligence in there. The sludge creature you reach out to has a mind, and you just touched it, and its current state of mind is reeling and squirming and writhing in pain and agony. And you almost just hear a cacophony of screams.
Telperion, what happened?
I push back from the table and like I probably like knock my chair back. Oh fuck! That hurt a lot. That hurt a lot. That was very quick and unexpected. He's not doing well in there.
Shall we try and suss out his history? What broke him? How Moira brought him here? I think I can learn a lot about him.
If you could do that, it would be stellar. God, that really hurt. But the thing I would say is, he's gonna be freaking out when we let him out. We just need to remember that. I don't know how we're gonna pass him apart, but that's gonna be a monster. I think when we open that gem. Also, we should switch zooms.
Okay.
You know what I wonder is, does he need Jerry more than Jerry needs him? Because like without the structure of a creature to cling to, loss was a feeling that loss and rage and confusion and like twisting pain. So it is ironic he spent months trying to get out of Jerry, but maybe he would gleefully run back to Jerry if we could exorcise him from the hex metal. That could be fabulous. But we'd need a suitable metal to bind him to.
Well, maybe if we know what's wrong with him, we can start there. I will get out some incense and my ivory strips and spread out the incense in a pattern looking at this. Does this work? Yeah.
How do you spell Hyperivel?
Hyper-A-V-E-L, probably.
That is correct.
Oh!
And then
I'm not able to see that image.
When you open up the link, it doesn't open it.
Correct.
Hyper-Apple.
That's fine. It's an intricate array of incense, and I will cast Legend Lore on Hyperivel.
Okay. With the requirements of that spell, you can just name the creature. Yes, you don't have to physically interact. Okay. As you cast this spell once again, the silver mists drifting from the burning incense begin to cloud only your vision until there's nothing but silver all around you. And then a growing darkness begins to bubble forth ahead of you, slowly coalescing into an amorphous shifting sludge that writhes and twists in agony and recoils in pain. You see its journey to this place from Moira's lab, watching the past day's events unfold in reverse over the course of just a few seconds. You then see its extraction from Jiri's veins, before seeing hundreds of glimpses of Jiri, using the magic of his patron, extending back several months to your meeting in For's Hollow, to his meeting with Moby and Elandris before that, and further back still, until he rests, catching his breath among the mountains of Durast. He looks with surprise at his blue-skinned hands, which then fade backwards into the familiar coloration of the half-elven Jax. It doesn't take long for the changeling's transformation to revert his entire physiology to the state it had previously been. Then you see the prisons beneath Talonreach Keep in Daenor. You see the dozen Durastian guards slain in Jax's escape by using the hex metal's power and freeing various other prisoners before they're all suddenly locked back in their cells before they were freed. And Jax then reaches toward this pedestal in front of him, and violently, this Vantablack dread iron sludge forces its way out of his skin, climbing back up onto the pedestal, and then becoming covered once more by the arcane crystal that originally contained it. You watch the sludge writhe within the crystal for what seems like days or maybe weeks, showing erratic, aggressive, and feral behavior in its sludge-like form within the crystal. After some time, it is removed from the crystal jar and falls upwards into an iron smithing bowl held in the hands of the Talon Moira. She retreats toward the array of dread iron weapons strewn about this place, and two other figures stand at her side. One in brilliantly gleaming armor and a deep crimson maroon cape, helmeted with the Illimir held confidently in his hand. The other, a humanoid in a simple brown cloak, hooded so that his face is completely obscured. They exchange muffled conversation of disappointment, with Moira saying something like, "Perhaps the dread iron process has not been yet developed enough to accommodate such power. Alas, a failure. But I shall find some use for him in this new form. He will surely be a subject ripe for study. I thank you both for your cooperation." She then chants for a while, and then you witness the arcane ritual used for the binding in reverse. The sludge slowly becomes solid, forming into the shape of an impressive and strikingly familiar-looking greatsword form, though with a black diamond set into the crossguard as opposed to Illimir's regular diamond. And still, the Vantablack appearance of dread iron. Clearly some representation of a dread iron version of Illimir. And suddenly, as it takes shape in this physical form, no longer a sludge, a colorful light of red and orange and amber and indigo and violet and magenta is shunted out of the sword within the glyphs of a magic circle. And the individual left there is in the appearance of loosely a humanoid man, but with beautifully golden skin, kneeling to the ground with both arms supporting him against the stone. He is weeping terribly, though clad in cracked stained glass plate armor, with a 7-point crown made of diamond resting on his head and dotted with various gemstones of ruby, citrine, topaz, emerald, sapphire, fluorite, and amethyst. He fades and is shunted away to wherever from which he was summoned. Then Moira says, before the binding took place, "Thank you, knight, for availing me of your blade to study, even if it was for painfully little time. And thank you to our other guests for availing me of this scroll for use today. I have crafted this weapon, the latest of our dread iron process, in the guise of Illimir, suitable for containing Hyperivel's form when we summon him for the binding." Their conversation fades rapidly, as the spell lingers not with them, but with Hyperivel. Shunted away and lost, shifting amongst gossamer starscapes and strange and colorful arcane phenomena visible across this background of the astral plane. He weeps for centuries or longer in this place. Some unknown duration of anguish and terror and fragmented loss. And then he immediately translocates to some unfathomably beautiful tower balcony that radiates with such light it is difficult to perceive. He feels restored. He is knightly once again, with his mind intact, though he is still sad. for he is warning in desperation the woman of divine beauty in front of him. Please, please do not do this. They are flawed, it is true, but their ever-present journey to overcome their flaws, to be better, provides their short lives with meaning. It is difficult to bear witness to, I know this more than most, but I implore you, listen to my guidance. And then before that, eons pass before your eyes, witnessing countless years and centuries and millennia pass before your eyes in an instant. And much like when you use the spell to better understand Rome, you begin to hear a sort of song, a celestial hymn at the time of Hyperavel's original creation. The song sings for a while, and you do understand its words, knowing celestial. And it resolves with the final phrase, "You will be my harbinger of dawn, and I name thee Hyperavel, my chosen solar." And the spell fades. The silver mist around your vision is dissipated, and you see your allies and friends in front of you again.
Well, we didn't learn anything interesting, did you, Toby?
And I break it down and I tell him about it. Whoa, solar is so important. Fuck, dang. Would have been dope to know who that other figure was.
Do you not think it was like
off Illimir? I think that's
Was-
like her Duke or whatever. The guy we haven't been able to find yet. Would be my guess. Bringing, what was the wording of the light of dawn, or
You will
Harbinger.
be my harbinger of dawn,
Harbinger
and I
of
name
dawn.
thee Hyperavel, my chosen solar.
what's a sola?
I don't.
I think Telperion actually might know the answer to that. Go ahead and roll history or religion, your choice. And honestly, Toby and Roulette can make a history check as well.
Can I cast
We'll do it history.
borrowed knowledge before I
Sure.
make it?
Yeah.
18 on my history.
So this plus 4. Okay, not great.
Okay. Toby Rama, just with your connection to your god being so sort of grounded in experience, not education, you don't necessarily know how emphatically important a solar might be, but you know it's a solar and planetar and deva are all different types of angelic beings.
Right.
Roulette, with even basic history knowledge, you know that there is, even though you've never been interested in it, there is a sort of hierarchy within the godscape of divine beings. And you know that a solar is a high-ranking deva creature. But Telperion, with your knowledge and some more formal education on the topic, you know that there might be many devas in the service of a single
Oh my
deity.
god.
Planetars are a level above that, which are very esteemed generals and warriors and have a great amount of power. And then the only higher tier than that is a solar. And there are not many solars in the service of any god. For each god determines one singular solar to be their right hand, their harbinger, their champion chosen. So Corellin Lorethian has a single solar, and you might know the name of that individual in your teachings and cultural practices. Sehanine, the moon goddess, has a single solar, as does every deity, at least in recorded history, in the teachings of these cultural religions. So the fact that this is potentially was a solar of some deity once upon a time just shows how far this being has fallen from its stature once upon a time.
Oh God. Well, actually, get a load of this. I have to read you all this journal soon, but listen. Finally, Cecilia won the direct attention of the Dawn Mother Modera herself, who, although was greatly wounded by the Dark God, sent her own Sola, Ansera,
And Sarah,
Ansera, to aid the hero. As these two fought side by side, they would quickly fall in love and never stray from each other's side. So, we probably should ask the two religious ladies in the next room, but what god would be associated with the Harbinger of Dawn?
I almost had thought of Modera, but if she had a different solar and there's only one per, then perhaps a different pantheon or a different god entirely. But yes, we should go speak with them, see if they can help us know who Hyperville might have been created by and abandoned by. He was pleading that she not do this, or that they not do this, and then was shunted to the astral sea, the astral plane, where he existed for eons until summoned by Moira. So,
how did she know he was
banished?
dead?
Was he banished, or did this god remove themselves from interacting with mortals?
Well, also important to note, he had his memory and was weeping even when summoned. So by fusing him with the copy of Elamir, she took his memories. Maybe she could have told him the memories, but she didn't mention to us that she knew them. But anyway, that is what drove him to want to seek her again, is that he didn't have any memory of who he was. So will this knowledge be a comfort to him? In whatever ritual we use to restore him?
Maybe it'll make him less chaotic and erratic, but I'd wager it won't help him with that original sadness.
Roulette, who do you know that's better with metal than anyone else? Is it you?
I'm off in the corner with Jiri, and he's helping me out test out my stuff.
I think we're having a whole group conference because you just did a legend lore.
I was waiting for it to end. I mean, I don't know. Jokel knows a ton of metal, but he doesn't work with like anything extra planar terrestrial. I don't know any other metal workers. The maker, whoever that is, might be the guy you're looking for or girl you're looking for.
Roulette, the only other thing that I think might come into your mind is there's at least mithril moonsmiths that you've worked with here before that could maybe offer insight into other metals, but
say Telperion, your people.
Oh, you guys.
I go ask like an attendant at the door. It was Minerva. I go ask a attendant at the door. Have you seen Minerva today?
Yes, she arrived some 2 hours ago. I believe she is discussing matters with members of the Eclipse in the other room.
Why don't we go join them then? Come on, Jerry. I got you. And I scoop him. Or try to. Probably doesn't want a full scoop. Want a half scoop?
No, I can walk. But this is a lot of effort you guys are putting into this. I don't know. I don't want to be any more of a nuisance than I've already been.
But Jerry likes being a nuisance.
There's also an assumption there that you are a nuisance that could be addressed first, perhaps.
But I don't have any of my powers anymore, so not a lot of use. How do we know even that Hyperival will want to help us out?
He might not.
I wonder I wonder if in order to converse with Hyperivel, we could give him like a temporary body to kind of occupy so that we could interact with him. Because it's one thing to understand his history, but it's another thing to understand his present. I wonder if I perhaps construct a dream where he can occupy a body, we could maybe perhaps interact with him and ask him questions.
I think we should talk to the ladies about this because that's a fabulous idea and they might be able to join us. And I think we're going to need more divine backup than an experience. So Toby's not going at it alone on that respect. So we walk in, go find the ladies.
You are more than welcome to, as a crew, venture out of the banquet hall and across the throne room's sort of foyer and go into one of the sort of lounge salon meeting rooms just outside the antechamber there. And upon your arrival, the two Selethar knights at the door will nod and open the door for you. And you are able to step within. There are beautiful windows, beautiful tapestries, very comfortable looking furniture for which to sit upon. And there are 4 individuals in the room. Your sister, Princess Minerva, as well as others we've come to know. Silme Loonstone, with her also brilliantly white hair. Talia Silwind, with her more classical dark moon elven hair. And then Limstella Greymire, the esteemed, rather experienced and elderly moon elven woman, leader of the Sorcerers of the Eclipse. Fabulous, you have come to join us. I hope you have been able to recuperate. It sounds like your journeys have been rather challenging. Most of you, I think, may know Talia and Silme, as well as certainly the princess, and Minerva will come up to you, Telperion, and exchange a greeting. Brother, we have a lot of ideas, but we want to cater them to your needs. We should hopefully be able to avail you of much knowledge of what we've learned of Dreadiron. But hopefully we will be able to provide for you the whether arcane, primordial, or divine components needed for your plans on how to tend to Master Jiri. And she sort of glances toward Jiri with a very somber and sympathetic look.
Would you please tell us what you know of Haviland of the Dreadiron? I think that would help us a lot to start.
Minerva says, well, I have made my findings available to the Eclipse, and all further research has now been ongoing in their facilities since they have far more resources at their disposal than even I do here in the palace. So we've been conducting our research there. Elder Limstella, would you speak to these things? And Limstella will venture forward. She's probably one of the first moon elves you guys have all seen. Not one of the first, but one of the first primary in your sort of interactive sphere that has shown real signs of aging. Even Chiron Allspring looked similar to this woman in his starting to crease skin, some lines where he had smiled and squinted over years. Certainly not sort of the withered appearance of an old human, but just you can tell there's a shift of, oh, if Tenufael is half a millennia old, and this woman looks significantly older than her, it sort of indicates this woman's wisdom, expertise, experience on this world. Small, thin streaks of gray in her otherwise still very dark hair. one of the main valuable pieces of intelligence we've received about this dread iron process the Talon Moira has engaged in is that one might suspect hellish magics at play. You all have suggested she commands infernal power, or at least has the ability to summon or compel infernal adversaries to her cause, with the Oni Hellfiend breaking into the encampments at the Barrens and other hellish creatures at her command. So one might suspect that hellish magic would be at play in this process. However, in her experience and giving credit to her cleverness, she is likely surely determined that utilizing hell magics would never be able to facilitate successful replication of divine heaven magics. I suspect she has determined she must not use magics of the hells to replicate Celestial. Therefore, it appears as though she has incorporated something else. Heavy use of Shadowfell magic in the creation of these metals. There are deities that hold dominion over that plane, and so that plane, although dark and intuitively not holding a connotation with the divine, is not divorced from divine magic. And she has heavily incorporated the use of the Shadowfell's magic in the creation of these metals. Based on what you have all provided to our common knowledge for research, I suspect that the emotional turmoil of despair and anguish and sorrow and suffocating loss that permeate the Shadowfell's plane are properties that are inherently bound to these weapons and armor in the Dread Iron process. This is likely that when injured by these metals with weapons, healing is briefly unable. The body's spirit is suffocated for moments at a time, and even the greatest of healing magics is unable to convince the body to look forward. It is almost suffocated in anguish. We feel this is true as well for whatever entity is bound to the hex metal that the Magus Jiri has had bound to him in turn. If there is truly a being of great power held within its substance, even as much as an actual deva, which strains belief if I'm being honest, it is possible that the energies of the shadow are stifling his very nature, much like they do our physical forms.
That is an exceptionally compelling reason to divorce him from that metal.
We have theories on that topic as well, but before indulging in those conversations, I wish to hear what you all have in mind, what magics we might facilitate at your disposal or give advice for to make sure that your ventures are successful.
Well, we would ask any knowledge you might have on this matter. We now know Hyperivel to be a Solar, and at his creation was named the Harbinger of Dawn. And we would ask for your help thinking of which god may have created him, as we do not believe it to be Modera.
We'll have her roll a single history check.
It's probably not high if she's not that old.
13.
Knows twice as much as Valpyrian.
With a 25, she says, there is and always has been within our culture a connotation of Corellin's connection with daylight and the suns, and the suns further than our reach, the stars in the distant sky. But although light and day is his domain, it is sometimes misleading that some of our people inherently assume the dawn is within his dominion as well. I believe it is the northern humanoids' goddess, their prime deity, Modera, who has the highest level of connection to dawn as within her dominion. Perhaps this harbinger of dawn is her solar?
Would we have reason to believe she had a solar by a different name? And
But also, could Ansera have come before or after this Solar Hyperavel?
yes, that's some other.
Both of your questions are aligned in that, yes, just as if a general might fall upon the battlefield and a regent need declare a new one, the deities have the power to change, promote, demote, or replace their solars at their whim for all number of reasons, whether loss or judgment. There can be perhaps many reasons. There have been solars reaching back in the far histories of our archives. There have been reports that solars that once walked the plane with their favored chosen might have fallen in battle and needed to be replaced by various deities. So it is not impossible that there is an internal conflict with the information you've just divulged.
And then perhaps that could be the case. The nature, and I'll kind of describe the scene of how he was begging her not to do this. And I don't know if this is an insight thing or if they can help me suss this out. It's like, was it like he was being punished and exiled, or was she removing herself and so he was going to be left behind? I think Toby has a couple ideas about where that could be, but I'll describe it and try and get their advice as well.
I will offer you a performance check in your description of the events as seen by you, and if it is high enough, we'll give her advantage on her insight check.
Oh, jeez.
Toby falls over.
I mean, she doesn't need. It's just for advantage.
It is for advantage, but I feel like it could be important advantage. Is this something to use my daily luck point on?
We're
gonna do some important stuff, so yeah, I'm gonna let that sit as it is.
Okay. She will not gain advantage on her insight check, but she will listen to your words and try to analyze what she can make of them. Regardless of your performance, she...
It's really what Toby's not acting out.
Read between the lines.
That's true acting.
She takes the information and mulls it over and says, it is aligning with our understanding of a deity's solar that they might act as trusted, really trusted advisors. For it is difficult for deities in theory to discuss with other deities matters within their dominion. So they must choose advisors that their solars can fill the role of. Perhaps it is simply that being, this Hyperavel, might have simply been urging her to rethink her current course of action, her interaction with whatever her ambition was at that time. It sounds like from what you've availed of me, maybe he was not successful in his encouragement or persuasion efforts.
And so I think that leaves us with this idea that even if we restore him to his solar form, I don't know of a way we can avail him of what I can only imagine is immeasurable sorrow being removed from his creator.
I would say this, though. I mean, the fellow did weep for centuries in the astral plane, so he's probably very sad. But being fused to metal from Shadowfell, where he cannot, that the fragmented loss that he's feeling now could be a loss of his memory, and the fact that that metal prevented him from recovering. I believe Jerry managed with that in his skin for as long as he did. Maybe, I mean, he deserves his mind back if we could give it to him.
Certainly. And this is something
A
I would
very
Okay.
small smile crouches across Limstella, like an appreciation of astute understanding, and she says, "Princess, it appears you are right. Your brother was quick to understand our first thoughts on the matter. We too believe that the nature of this shadow magic at play within Dread Iron is preventing Hyperivel from recovering any sense of presence. He is either driven to understand his past from what you've told us, or is otherwise lost and has no memories with which to build a foundation of true personality. We may not know the true Hyperivel at all, and even Magus Jiri, in your interactions with him, perhaps even you do not begin to glimpse his true nature."
But I feel like who you just described as Hyperivel is almost like Jiri in that sense. Like Hyperivel's journey is almost like Jiri's. Both of them are without clear memories. And it almost seems like maybe perhaps because the two of them were together for so long, one cannot live without the other.
So she took a fractured mind and put it in a fractured mind. And then Jiri called Hyperivel, who didn't know who he was, Audrus, like a million times. So like, and then Jiri was losing his own side of himself. So we almost have like this.
I actually thought he was Audras.
I mean, I'm not
That's
saying you were wrong
how
to do that.
My memories were presented to me that I had rescued him after being slain by, well, I guess none of that actually happened, but that's what I thought.
Frankly, if I may be so bold, Jiri, I commend your resilience in forming coherent thoughts right now. The experiences you've undergone baffle even my mind, and it shows great strength that you can even function right now. And I do think what the rest of you are surmising is true, that this being Hyperivel desperately needs Jiri, as with no structure on which to form his fragmented thoughts, needs to bind to the structure of someone else. From what I've been told, and glances to Minerva and Talia, with the binding originally taking place with another personality, Jax, is that correct?
Oh.
If that binding took place with the being that was Jax, it has that persona will likely have a great amount of power and sway over Hyperivel's personality. It thinks that is the structure with which it first was able to reform any version of structure. It quickly seemed to shift to Jiri's control, which is fascinating and confusing. But perhaps if it is able to rebind, if that is something you are interested in trying, if it is able to rebind with your true self, Jiri, whoever you are now, that may result in a different outcome than its binding with Jax. But I suspect its connection with Jax will be an obstacle that will need to be overcome.
I don't even know who I am. I don't even know who my true self is. I've been walking around the last few months thinking I was Jajiri, this character from a story. Guess I'm not that, but I don't even know what I am.
You were very good at being Jerry. And that's what the world knows you as now. So in a sense, you did make him real.
I suppose that's true. But it was all a lie though. All those backstories, all those stories I told you didn't actually happen. They were implanted in my mind. I've never lived in Jalan before. Really, I was born that day when I bonded, well, when Jax bonded with the Hex Metal.
As we contemplate
You
these
zoom.
discussions, let's switch zooms. Limstella is just sort of looking off in the distance upward, just sort of theorizing and putting things together, but otherwise still allowing you all to speak unless you have questions or would like them to know plans you're interested in trying. But a kind of hush falls over the room, with sort of a heavy silence as Jiri is stating he doesn't know who he even is.
I kind of just look at Roulette and Toby and where I'm like, you get a little pink. Come on, we gotta say something to him. I think before we go force a spirit into his body, we have to have him in a better mind state.
I think one of the ways forward is going to be having to cut down, in a way, all of the conflicting memories so that Jiri can move forward as himself. And once those extraneous memories are torn down, perhaps then Hyperivel will be able to bond to just Jiri himself, as opposed to having the shadow of Jax. I don't know if we want to attempt to speak to Hyperivel before we attempt anything moving forward.
Well, I just think, Jerry, that you have a very exciting opportunity here to decide what you want to be now. Do you want to stay, Jerry? Has he been fun for you to be? Maybe the early memories that you were basing your decisions off of are lies, but you've certainly been with us and you've made a lot of decisions that you could be proud of in the past few months. We all enjoy having you around as Jiri, so. But if you want to try someone new, that is your nature as a changeling, you could do that too.
I don't even know if I want to be a changeling. I feel like I thought I was an Air Genasi. It just seems strange realizing that I'm something that I didn't even know existed before. You know what I mean?
And I can't imagine. You're going through something very singular to you. But we want to help you through it.
Well, I appreciate that, Telpiron. I appreciate all your guys' help. But I don't know what's the right way forward either.
Perhaps we can find it together. I have two branches of the same suggestion you might consider in your efforts. One, of course, is tending to Jiri's mind. I don't know what form that journey will take, how you are all interested in facilitating a venture into his mind to assist his way forward. But we have some magics at our disposal that can facilitate shared dreams or trances. We have many incenses. Many of our people sometimes wish, it is a rather costly endeavor, but we have incenses that facilitate shared trances. I think it should extend to the nature of dream magics as well. Those are just less utilized in our people. I can't necessarily claim to give direction once you try to tend to Jiri's mind, but we can facilitate the journey being taken. The other is tending to Hyperivel. We have given this a great amount of thought. And with the suggestion that Dread Iron carries properties of the Shadowfell that stifle and suffocate and prevent a spirit from healing itself or wanting to carry on, we would like... She pauses and sort of... You kind of get the sense she's almost getting carried away with the sort of arcane interests involved, and just like there's a sense of excitement to try this thing, but she does pause herself out of respect and says, we can consider introducing a counteragent to temper the Dread Iron. At the Aranel's approval, we could coordinate with the Moonsmiths and smelt down some mithril, introducing this molten material to the hex metal's substance. As a smith might temper a normal blade, this could serve to temper the hex metal, the Dread Iron, making it perhaps stronger and more resilient, as well as, more importantly, counterbalancing, at least to a minor degree, the shadow magic at play. This would surely not claim to restore its inhabitant to its natural true state or nature, but it may facilitate the opportunity for more of Hyperivel's true nature to surface, his personality to manifest within the substance, almost like availing this being of gasping air climbing to the surface of the ocean for breaths at a time, where otherwise he has been drowned for who knows how long. This is something we could try. I suspect it might have some impact, but that is knowledge for you to consider, and I will not push the matter further. It will be up to you to determine in what order these ventures may take. You might consider tending to Jiri's mind and then tending to Hyperivel before a binding, but a binding taking place before the change might be similarly effective. There might be various ways this can be achieved. In the pursuit of restoring Jiri, whatever new being you wish to take, and restoring some semblance of your power to you once more. For we will need you if our people are to be successful in the ventures ahead.
Well, I would like to be able to do whatever I could to help. I guess that would be my purpose now. There's no Jawland for me to go back to, I suppose. So this seems like it's the most important.
Very well. Well, we can, if you wish, begin coordinating with the Moonsmiths. Talia's own mother here, Kilana, I believe has worked with Lady Dragoon Tinkerton in the past, and will likely be the individual reach out to first. The Erenil will need to approve the use of Mithril in this way, but I suspect she will be eager to do so.
Jerry, you could have Mithril inside of you. That's like the coolest elf thing you could ever hope for.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know. Wonder how it would feel different than having that dread iron inside of me.
Mitrill's pretty cool. And think of all those cool sword fighting moves I taught you. You might even be better at them with like the good stuff inside of you as well.
I don't think I actually learned any sword fighting skills. I think that was all at Paraval, unfortunately.
No, I saw your sweat. You were learning. Was it him holding the blade the whole time?
Yeah.
I think you just have to accept that you're not as strong as me, and that you never will be, but you are funnier. So that counts for something.
Yeah, I liked it better when I was stronger than you, though.
Well, to give you something to work towards.
I guess that's true. I'll be back. Stronger than ever.
That is an impressive mindset to take in these times, Jiri, for I find it will be critical for you to find some measure of self-assuredness for a new binding to properly take root. You may not know what that looks like yet, but you will need to have a strong sense of self for the binding to hold the same sort of power it did when it touched Jax first. Or you will need to bind more strongly to it in order for you to be able to overthrow him. For I suspect at the Hex Metal's introduction, that persona sounds like it stands the most to gain or is the most desperate to take power back for itself. And as you gain power from the Hex Metal, so too will your previous personas.
Might want to do something about Jax first, though.
Indeed, perhaps that is prudent. Well, we will stay here. I will have someone begin reaching out to the Moonsmiths. We will stay here for the duration so that you don't need to make the trek to the Eclipse Embassy. But please do let us know if you're ready to enact any of your plans. I assume you all may have much to discuss amongst yourselves before we begin anything.
Thank you, Lady Limsdale.
Of course. Silme, Talia, will you make a journey very quickly to collect some of the Eldisbark incense? We should have use for it now. And they will take their leave, and Limstella will stick around.
I give Talia a wave. Hi, Talia.
Greetings, Princeling, with a sly little smile.
You don't keep calling me that. Should we buy a break?
Yeah, that's a great time. Yep, let's do it.
Whew.
Yeah, it's also funny. I sort of just called you Princeling, but now retroactively, how would she say that? I'm like, oh, you totally would have told Minerva. Moira would fucking call me this thing. And so Talia, that was almost a jab from Talia. That
I would expect a
did
jab
that.
from Talia too. Like,
Yeah,
absolutely. So that's why I rolled well.
Italian folk.
once again, just love legend lore. I just think it's such a fun spell.
Dude, that's crazy. That was juicier, and I was already expecting it to be juicy.
Oh yeah, that's the goal.
MK, can you just zoom in on the map of Roshar behind you?
I
Mostly
cannot-
because listening to the audiobook, I just like, you don't actually have to do this. I'm very much kidding.
Shaggy Plains, Alethkar, Yakaved, Azish Empire.
That's okay. Azish Empire is the only one I was.
Is pretty close to Alethkar and Yakaved.
Okay. Where is Kolinar? That's the capital of Alethkar, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like
Thank
the
you.
center of Kolinar, of Alethkar.
Alethkar.
Um,
That's the only drawback about audiobooks is that like I just want to keep looking at a map somewhere, but the audiobook has literally become like my gym track. Like I'll just go to the gym and I'm just jamming out to Stormlight.
That's wild. I wonder because I've been in a better routine about working out for longer durations lately. And I'm like, should I start audiobooking there? But like I've always needed music to get my heart pumping. I need the adrenaline of a beat and stuff.
I will
That's
say,
super
at least
weird.
for like I like starting my workouts, I did like there's a whole bunch of stretching and like I'll go on like the stair climber to just like start for 5 or 10 minutes. That is like ideal for me. Like that, it's just like kind of slow-ish. I'm not doing any jumping jacks or anything. But then I do have to switch to like the Barbie movie soundtrack at some point. But it's real fun to listen.
it's not quite as detailed, but
I have the books. I just need to take a picture of them on my phone so I can like look at it while I'm at the gym.
I've always been a fan of like the shape of the continent.
Yeah.
It's like a
It's so weird.
galaxy.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's very sort of there's got to be a word for that. It's like
Whirlpool.
whirlpool. Yeah.
It
Spiral
looks-
fractal.
It looks like it's a.
it looks like a storm cloud, like spinning.
It's the yin and the yang, but it's like kind of separated. Is what I always picture it as because the tail up there and the tail down there.
Hurricane. Galaxy.
22 minutes.
That kind of shape.
I walked away with my phone. Hopefully, it didn't disconnect. It looks like everyone's still in. 1,000 Steps is still playing for everyone, hopefully. What the hell?
Yeah, we don't know.
So weird. I got a text from someone, and it's in my little previews of like when it shows the people texting you. I can see the text in the preview that this new thing came in at 12:03 or whatever. Then I click in it, and then that message does not exist in the text thread.
Solid.
This is so
Weird.
odd. I've never seen this happen before.
Typical iPhone.
Eh.
Am I the holdup?
Just easing in. Also, my daily coffee cup.
Give me that.
Give me that. Oh my god.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Who got that for you? I love
Morgan
that.
did.
Morgan, yeah.
She got Ryan one. What does his say?
the
I don't remember.
star.
Right.
But mine is.
Wait.
What the hell?
What the hell? Oh my god, I love that one. I swear to God, he tried to roll it down his arm.
Oh.
You grease these?
I want to watch.
Also,
that show
yeah, let's
this
do the
afternoon.
illegal thing. I love how it's always the last text of the thread that lawyer lady reads out in that bit.
Oh, like she's giving so much unnecessary context just to
Attention to
make fun of
him.
him, basically. And then at the very end, it's like one thing that's relevant
like,
to the case.
Oh yeah, and now we can make those trades or whatever.
Yeah.
Have you seen his fucking hat? It's so fucking stupid. Can you believe he thinks that's cool? Just...
You gotta grease the wheels.
Oh,
You gotta grease the wheel.
Tim and Alex, have you watched I Think You Should Leave?
Mm-mm.
No.
It's on Netflix, and
It's
it's just
incredible.
the most absurd humor, and it's just
Is
in
it
our
like a
family.
It's a
like,
skit
yeah,
show.
a skit show. So like they've got 2 seasons, not 3.
3.
Oh, they've got 3 seasons on there. And it's this guy Tim Robinson, and basically almost every skit, but they're just like 5-minute, 10-minute skits, and it'll shove a bunch of them into a single episode on Netflix, and it's just in our family, it's just top tier comedy. It's just so crazy.
Hmm.
You guys
I'll
should give
check
it
it
a
out.
look. Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys should.
And Ronnie, I feel like you're just here for the zip line. It's all you do every day.
Oh my god. So
when I
stupid.
get back home, there's something I'm afraid of.
Jesus.
Is there really something? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Aw, you sure?
Just so good.
Unreal.
All right, well, Limstella of the Eclipse, it will be waiting for you once you guys know what you want to do. Right now, it's really up to you to retire to a meeting room in the palace, go to your rooms, wherever you want to go, whatever you guys want to do to start talking through what you want to do, how you want to tend to Jiri.
My thought is if we're gonna do all of these things, like potentially rebind Hyperabel to Jiri and the Mithril Metal, my fear is that if we just attempt to bind those things without anything else, with any other supporting magic or regrowing of Jiri's psyche, it won't hold. The bond won't hold. And I do believe that Jiri will find his strength not in the things that we will put within him, but within himself, and perhaps with some part of all of us. I have a few items that I'd like to go and search for.
We cannot hear you currently.
Tim,
My camera's been like
Yeah.
funky.
I don't know what part cut out.
We heard everything.
You said
You're looking for
you
items.
said you wanted to gather some items. Yep.
Okay. I want to go gather some items that I think will help us in aiding Jiri regrow his mind and become whole again. But I do think that once those items have been found, we can then venture into Jiri's mind and attempt to bring all these pieces back together.
I mean, I agree with Rome. I think we're trying to put something back into the vessel of Jiri. We got to make sure that vessel's cleaned out, kept up, and orderly, whatever that means in that order. So I mean, I think we can sign off and say yes to them testing whatever they want to do with the mithril stuff once we've kind of gotten the house in order inside of Jiri's head.
So, Jerry, you have a decision to make on those different memory forms, which one we can kill.
I don't I don't know how that would even work. I don't even know if you would have a choice. They're all connected together in some way.
Are you connected to them?
I think so, yeah. I'm the last in a long line of memories.
I mean, I think we've, and Jiri or anyone else, correct me if I'm wrong, but of all these personas you got in your head, Jax is odd one out, right? Jax is a thorn in the side of your brain that we want removed potentially. Or do we not know?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yes, he's been problematic, and I don't think he will change. I think if he stays, he'll attempt to take over once again.
So I think if we can get back into Jiri's mind space, not option one, priority one is dealing with Jax, whether that means completely extricating him, shunting him away somehow, or something like that. I think that's priority one. Priority two is something we'll have to figure out once we get in there. Jiri, I think that'll be a question for you to see what you want your brain to be made up of once we leave again. But I don't think we'll be able to answer any of those questions before we kind of get in there, get our hands dirty.
I think the point I was saying is that I don't know if it'll be as simple as just cutting Jax out, right? If it's a long line of memories, cutting the connection
Well,
between Jax and I.
So
But,
here poses a new question, Jiri. As you are in this moment right now, can you remember your memories when you were in the persona of Meko or of Squall? Are those available to you right now? I think you've made it seem like they aren't, unless that form is who's in charge.
I remember. Yeah, I have access to parts of them, but a lot of it is missing. There's been a lot of damage that has been done.
To all
They're
those other memory forms.
They're not. Yeah, they're not whole anymore.
So in some ways, it's kind of like putting a dying animal out of its misery, right? Like if they aren't a whole memory, we couldn't call Meko here now. It's not like we're really denying him a chance at anything.
It's like cutting away an infection from a wound. We got to get rid of the damaged pieces before it damages all of Jiri.
And so there's this idea that we may have to remove all of them.
Not all. We can still keep the parts of Jiri from when he's been with us.
Correct.
His recent memories.
But it would be everything pre-Jerry would go.
That's a big decision. I imagine, scary, the idea of it.
Well, what I'm curious about, Jiri, is do you want to try to connect with your oldest, most foundational memory as before we potentially remove that from you?
As we consider the answer to that question, let's hop zooms. My brain has developed this really nice defense mechanism where I'm just constantly looking up at the time left so that I'm never caught off
You were
guard anymore.
traumatized, and now it's a trauma response.
Yeah. But so yeah, Telperion, what was that question? I mean, I know it, but just
I don't know, Jiri, what your changeling nature is like at its base, but you might have memories of like who birthed you or something. Like those might feel like the hardest part to actually let go because it's not some memory form.
Not really, to be honest. That doesn't feel like me. None of it does, right? It just seems so strange that I understand the idea that they're memories from myself, but they feel separate.
All right, last question. If we kill these other memory forms, if they go away, do you think you'll lose your awareness now that you're not the Jiri of legend? You're like Jiri 2.0.
No, I think I'll still have my memories of this experience, right?
All right, good. So we go tell them we want to do that dream spell first? Do we want to do that today?
Well, I would like to go and collect the items that I think are necessary in order to piece together what is left of Jiri, as well as eliminating some of the parts that are not. It won't take me long.
Oh, I guess. No. I'll migrate to. I'll take whoever's not going with Rome, and we'll go back to the rooms and maybe start telling Limstella that we're interested.
Girls trip. I'm going from.
Excellent.
Rome, as they retire to their rooms, what do you, guiding Roulette, want to go pursue?
So before I leave everyone, I do want to kind of like impart them with a little mission. I do believe that in order to do this properly, we need something from every single one of you to bring into Jiri's mind so that he knows who is closest to him within him. So maybe like a trinket, something that represents you that we can bring within his mind to remind him of who truly cares about him.
We're gonna be putzing around with his memories, and I think the more we can guide those memories, the more accurate, to use Rome's description, the more accurate our scalpel is going to be in excising those bad memories and keeping the good. That's a good word. Excellent.
I know what I have to do.
Don't know if I have the strength to do it.
And then I cut off a couple hairs, and I make a hair loopy.
Excellent. As Roulette and I part the group, I'll let Roulette know. I'm seeking 4 different seeds that I believe will be necessary to regrow the parts of Jiri's mind that are damaged.
Interesting.
I'm looking for 4 different plants: a cedar tree, a willow, a white oak, and a magnolia. And perhaps as we walk through the forest, you can be the one who carries the seeds back to Jiri as I go out and fetch them.
Of course.
Go ahead and make a survival check, Rome.
I will make that a 20 as a help with a +4.
Okay.
Magnolia.
At first, you worry that it may take more hours than you anticipated to find each of these tree types, but with Roulette's assistance and your natural understanding of this forest-like environment of Earth, it really falls into place more quickly than it could have. And you are able to, over the course of 3 hours, find each of these trees and pluck from them various leaves that have budding seeds upon them, contained within them. And then you guys are making your way back?
As we're making our way back, I fill Roulette in on my plan. My intent is to incept Jiri with not only this new life that will rebuild the parts of him that are damaged, but to also impart messages that I think are necessary for his new development. When we return, I'll have you help me inscribe these messages into the very DNA of these seeds in order to fully bring back Jiri to his former glory.
We tending our own garden of Jiri. I like that. During this time, throughout whatever it is, I will have taken out the jar of slightly leaking Orin air, and I will take like 10 minutes instead of just the required 1 minute to cast mending on the bottom of the jar, and making sure every last piece of this jar is fully closed.
Perfect. You are, for the first time this campaign, able to restore the bottle to its previous fully functional state.
Do I notice anything that, like, does the jar, like, because I know this has been referred to as like a mystical jar of Orin air. Do I notice anything weird about it upon like closing it up?
Confirming many investigative efforts by you and others, the way the very mundane glass knits together in this mending effort is a sort of final period on the
This is a jar.
efforts. This is a mundane jar.
Got
Not for long.
it.
Topier's like, I don't know why I just said that.
Your sister's looking at you.
Yeah. This is psychic stuff. It's just crazy.
Okay, well, Rome and Roulette, you are able to rejoin with your allies. What were you up to in the couple hours that passed while they were surveilling the forest?
Never, dearest of sisters.
Yes.
How much ink have you got? Can
Oof.
I need to
I
borrow
should have
this.
expected this long ago when I tried to get you into the arcane pursuits. I am regretting that choice.
Just a little for your dear brother in his small basic spells.
How much do you need for your current endeavors?
Honestly, I just would like to copy Detect Magic in from this other spellbook because I want to use it to keep an eye out for the witch.
It has been a long time since I had to spend the full amount of time doing that. How much ink will that require of you?
50 gold.
50? I can make that available for you.
You're very kind. And generous, the people always say.
They do they?
I haven't been around, I guess, but I think so.
It is good to hear it. Yes, let me retire to my chamber and I will procure you some. And she will avail you of 50 gold worth of magical arcane ink.
And I'll copy that. And because I think I have it on spell scroll, but I'm just going to use it. I'll copy it from Gaspard's spellbook into mine because I assume like the code would be the same for us. And it's still just a spin.
You will probably still need to use ink every time.
Yes,
you're
exactly.
copying,
But it wouldn't.
transcribing. Yeah.
But I don't have to burn the spell scroll to do it. Check so you get that.
Ooh, that we should check. I do think spell scrolls are consumed when you do that effort.
I think Gaspard's spellbook had detect magic.
Oh yeah,
in it.
that will not
That's-
be consumed for sure. Yep.
Okay. Oh, Toby, my friend, come here. I want to show you something. Ta-da! And I do a little of like sparkle in front of with prestidigitation in front of the journal. Look at this grimy old notebook. How much will you pay me to let you read it right now?
How much will I pay you to let me read it right now?
Yeah. We've got time. We don't know how long they're gonna be picking seeds in the woods.
Probably won't pay you much.
All right, that's fair. Read it then, and just talk to me about it when you're done. And we'll tell the others soon, but it didn't seem like the right moment.
Might not get a chance to just yet, but I will happily read it.
Oh, I just kind of presumed you were going to stare at the wall for 4 hours or so. But if you get bored, you can read it.
Okay, so MJ, you are welcome to, or I can forward that email to MK for.
I'll do it. If he's reading it, I was going to wait to see if he read it during this time.
Yeah, and I mean you could forward it if you want, and then MK can just read it when he
wait
reads
to
it.
read
But
it when I
Okay.
read it.
And then Jiri, definitely want to check in with you in this minor couple of hours of downtime. What's going on with you?
Jiri go eat some food and like rest. I don't know. He needs to recuperate and get prepared for this.
I was, unless Jiri wanted to be alone, was gonna spend most of the time with him.
Sure.
Okay. Jiri, if you are willing to eat, you have had sufficient rest time. So by eating alone a healthy meal, enough to satisfy your needs, you can remove 1 additional level of exhaustion.
Yay.
Nice.
And we will go ahead and make it 2 more.
Ooh.
Because I will cast a 5th and 6th level Greater Restoration to get you
Wow.
2 more levels of exhaustion up, so that you don't have half speed anymore either.
Nice.
Okay. Willing to expend all the
Yeah.
diamonds necessary for that? Okay, please mark that off. And Jiri, looks like
Feeling
although
good.
there is a lot of mental trauma still going on, at least your level of sort of existence right now is becoming more bearable.
I feel like Jiri is no longer as hunched. His skin doesn't look like it's rotting off his body anymore. He looks healthier, for sure, but
And
Good.
Toby will just, I mean, to what extent Jiri wants to talk about it, Toby will at least. I'm really sorry that this happened to you, Jiri, and that this is something we have to do. It's not fair. And I know it's probably very confusing, but we're here for you in whatever you need.
yeah, I appreciate that, Toby. This all seems so surreal. I feel like, I don't know, what was it, 2 weeks ago? I thought I was Jajiri Jarl Jaland, and now, like I said, I don't know what I am. But I'm glad I have you guys with me to figure that out, I suppose.
And perhaps that's something that can be an endeavor you take, is deciding for yourself who you want to be. If we're going to, wipe a lot of the slate clean, if that's still something you want to do, then you'll be left with the option to make of yourself whatever you want to be.
I think that is what I want. I know these other memories are a part of me, but they feel disconnected. I don't know.
They don't seem to be serving you anymore as they once did, which is, again, not fair, but And there will be time for retribution against Moira, who inflicted all of this upon you.
Yeah. We will get our revenge someday. But
I just want you to know that there's certainly ample amounts of hope available to you if you can find them.
thanks, Toby. I was worried you guys wouldn't want to hang out with me anymore because I'm no longer the second coolest guy in the crew. But I'll work my way back up.
Powers are nice, but not the only reason we kept you around.
Thanks, Toby.
DM, final thing I'm going to do, I will sit down and I need just an hour for this. Right tool for the job, I am going to just craft a set of Weaver's tools.
Okay.
Just that's my level 4 or 6 or whatever it was
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Okay. Weaver's tools are made.
I would like to spend, since we're all back, Roulette, do you have a magnifying glass or a glass that can magnify things?
Even better, I've got these, and I'll take out my eyes of minute seeing. Is this kind of what you're looking for? You need a close up of something, or
Yeah.
for a refract and light kind of thing?
No, I need to be able to see something that's really small.
Oh yeah, these are courtesy of Jiri actually. Eyes of minute seeing advantage on investigation checks. I think I forget what it is specifically.
I believe
It's
that- I
like a
believe
pair
that's
of
right.
my magnifying glasses on your eyes.
I put them on my eyes and I take the 4 seeds that I collected and place them on the ground and cast plant growth on them, not to like make them grow, but in order to like change their DNA as to like leave a message written within the DNA strand.
Fuck
Okay.
yes.
That's
Very
awesome.
fucking cool. Advantage on intelligence or land sight. Okay. Go ahead, using the eyes of minute seeing to aid your precision in your investigation. First, please give me an investigation check with advantage. The result of this will affect the DC of what you're about to try. Okay.
Make it a 21.
Make it a 21. Okay. With 21, the DC has been adjusted. Please make a
Engineering check?
Proficiency should matter here. So proficiency plus wisdom. Make like a spell attack roll, basically.
Proficiency.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wait, so what am I clicking on? Proficiency.
just-
So the proficiency
yeah.
bonus link.
Yeah, your proficiency bonus applies, but so does your wisdom. This is like a
So just
spell
like a
casting check for
survival
Rome.
check will be the same
Yeah,
number.
if you hit survival, that should roll the right numbers because I think that's got your wisdom and proficiency
Okay.
attached to it.
Got it.
With 17, you spend an hour or so modifying these seeds with your magics in just the right spots that you think you have sufficiently infused their very fundamental biological makeup in a way that should transfer to the way they might grow.
Rome, I typically come from a non-GMO household, but I approve of this.
What's a GMO?
I don't know. My dad always talked about it though.
Perhaps it can help us overthrow Zavala. Desperate for anything at this point. I just learned that you can cast a wizard spell as a ritual if the spell's ritual tag and you have it in your spellbook. You don't have to have it prepared. So once I finish putting detect magic in my spellbook, I will ritually cast detect magic. Because I want to be keeping an eye out. I wonder if Moira can scry through the mythals that we're protected by currently. But if she can, I don't want her to see this. So since I can't cast spells like you lot in any well, I have gotten some power now, but still doesn't match you all. So I can do this at the minimum.
And then maybe on a subsequent day we can test that out. Maybe I can step outside the Mythals and try and scry in.
Fair. We should do that for sure. But ultimately, I think we have to prioritize getting some kind of protection from this because, she can't we can't have what happened happen again. But that has to come after this. But she can't see Jerry transform into something new. That would be bad.
As it seems like we're getting closer to embarking on our magical dream trance, I will cast Ceremony with Jiri as the target and cast the Coming of Age Rite.
Ooh.
Maybe.
As I think he might not be a young person, but I think he's about to experience sort
very
of a
appropriate utilization
rebirth,
of this.
baptizing sort of experience.
Okay. Jiri, over the next 24 hours, whenever you make an ability check, you can roll d4 and add it to your check. Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know if it'll help in a combat inside the mind. I'm hoping it will help with after that stuff.
Okay. Looks like 25 gold worth of your materials will be consumed in that, so go ahead and mark those off. Perfect. Basically a 24-hour guidance that will just always be applicable. However, this is the only time this rite can be used on Jiri.
You can't hit puberty again.
Darn.
Okay. What are we doing now? Are you guys approaching Limstella in that chamber room again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's get to it.
Megavonin, Limstella. We feel it's important to get Jerry's mind straight prior to tackling Hyperavel. This might be the easier time to deal with Jax. So we would like to embrace whatever ritual you all propose to facilitate that we shed a dream trance and enter his mind. We have business in there.
Who's gonna carry Hyperavel down into the dream?
I don't think
I
we
don't
should.
think he needs to be there.
Why not?
We haven't fixed Hyperavel yet, so that we'd be taking a fractured mind into a fractured mind again. In his presence, well, I think that this can be separate for now. It's like we're trying to firm up two things before gluing them together.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Can't have guests over till the house is clean.
So Minerva, if you are not going in, as I kind of assume, would you keep watch over Hyperavel out here?
Of course.
And would you be able to keep up a detect magic as well I would be, but if I'm going in, it might not help. We need to be sure Moira doesn't scry in at a moment like this. We're not sure if she could scry into here. We want to test that tomorrow, but...
Of course, I will utilize my detection, and then Lady Limstella, will you be able to assist should I detect anything? And Limstella gives a nod. Then Limstella says, "Very well. If you all feel prepared, you will likely find this experience somewhat alien, and there may be phenomena while occupying the space of Jiri's mind that might affect your form in various ways. If you are injured or come into conflict with other personas that seek to threaten you, it is very likely any damage done to your forms in there will be done as mental stress to your physical forms. So just keep in mind, Your forms are still susceptible to damage, though not physical in nature. If you are reduced to some sort of unconscious state, you will fall unconscious here. We will have people available to tend to you immediately, so this should not threaten your lives. But these are unique interactions of magics that we have not played with before. So be ready for anything. Hopefully, since the hex metal has not been introduced at this time, any threats should still be a minimum now, since Jax, for example, this persona will have no power with which to wield his threats. Hopefully. When you are ready, either myself or any of you that have dream magic capabilities can cast the spell on Master Jiri, and the rest of you I will guide in meditation. Telperion, you will be able to slip into your trance very seamlessly. The rest of you will require a little bit extra of a challenge. But we will get you there.
I'll ask, do we think any magical effects placed on us here will carry over into that dreamscape?
It is possible. It will depend on the state of Jiri's mind. For anything you do in there, although you will, in theory, have autonomy and agency, are manifestations of his experience of you in his mind. So it will be a unique situation. It is possible that if should you bless yourselves and armor yourselves here, that will be possible. But Jiri, if your mind shifts and changes rapidly within, it could affect the way your allies take appearance there.
So I'll be taller than him for once.
If his mind dictates it so.
Like
No
that.
chance.
All right.
Yes.
Um,
Fat tail period.
He's back, boys. In Rome.
Tubby tail.
I sit down in front of Jiri for a minute and I pull out the novel of Jiri. All right, here's what I want you to keep in mind before we go in. You're a survivor, Jiri. You were in that prison and you clung to the stories of Jajiri. You deserve to be him because you wanted to be. And his stories and his power and his charisma and all of what he is, you are attracted to that. And you've owned that and you've made it yours these past months. And the world sees you as Jiri and you can see yourself as that too. So before we go in, just remember that you get to choose. My name, do you know what Telperion's name from? Where it comes from? Just a tree. Very gorgeous, very magical silver tree, but I've made that name my own, and I could claim another if I wished, just like you could claim another. But something tells me you want to stay Jiri.
Thank you, Telpiran. I'll keep that in mind. That's good advice.
I give you the book, and so you can hang on to it.
You'll like just kind of flip through it haphazardly, looking at the pages and whatnot.
When you are ready, do any of you have dream magics available to you? Or would you like me to cast my own magic?
I plan on casting Dream.
Very well, Mythaline. Then, when you and Jiri are ready, Jiri, calm your mind and allow the Mythaline's magic to wash over you.
Okay.
Wait, where are we located one more time?
We are in a chamber with beautiful windows of stained glass surrounding this parlor salon space. There is a table that has been cleared away, and all of you are sort of sitting or allowed to sit in this central carpeted space in the middle of this room.
Speaking of carpets, I look for Shaggy. And I ask Shaggy to go to the center where Jiri will sit so Jiri can sit on Shaggy.
Okay.
Any way we can do this outside? I don't know. I just feel like it's supposed to take place outside in the fresh air, you know, in the sunlight.
Absolutely.
Of course. Of course. I find it imperative that you are as comfortable and at peace as possible when we do this. Let us relocate. Perhaps the balcony behind the third tower. I have found that to be my favorite view in this palace. And as you all rise and collect your things and ready yourselves, you make the march up a spiral tower staircase in Keep Loonsong, Nightlamp Palace, and arrive at the balcony of Limstella's suggestion. Yeah, Telperion.
I ride on Shaggy with Jiri instead of helping it with anything else.
Okay.
Because I really want to ride through the palace on Shaggy.
Okay. Well, you guys arrive on this beautiful stonework balcony overlooking a beautiful portion of the forest where, although heavily covered in canopy generally, there are more gaps in the forest top here where strands of light shine through to the floor. A rather beautiful view of the forest to the west.
Yeah, this is much better. It's nice being outside in the sun. It reminds me of, well, I guess it's not really my home, but it reminds me of home. What I used to think was home.
Is Jiri wearing his crown?
Sure, he'll get all dressed up like he usually is.
Before I cast Dream, I'm gonna take Jiri in my arms and like cradle him with my like vines like kind of wrapping around him and little tendrils and stuff like kind of growing outwards to have us all be connected before I cast Dream.
Very cool.
I love it.
As you begin to cast Dream, Limstella will take from a component pouch several bundles of incense sticks and set them into small porcelain cups strewn about the place and will light the incense, and slowly this very calming scent drifts throughout the vicinity, and Jiri and Rome will automatically begin to enter the dream. Telperion, at your discretion, you can trance at will. Roulette and Tobirama, please make a wisdom check as you begin to try and enter this meditative trance-like thing that Telperion does, being facilitated by these incenses. Okay. All right. Both of you are able to connect enough with the sensation that you sort of feel each other's presence in your meditation, and then meet up with Rome and Jiri. Rome, what is going on as you begin to cast Dream on Jiri?
I imagine that my like eyes are glowing gold and like the cracks that are within my like wooden structure like glow like golden resin as we like descend into Jiri's mind space where the drain and the altered neural network is.
Okay. After a few moments of things coming into focus through the use of this spell from Rome, accessing Jiri's inner mind, and the trance magics allowing you to connect with this dream spell, the rest of you, you all are able to see each other physically floating in the ever-present strange visuals of this space. Again, not as dark and violently storming, but still shades of darkness and still a thin layer of Vantablack liquid just remaining on the very base of the environment. And you are all able to slowly float down there. And you can see within the bottom, there is still this swirling whirlpool sort of emptying into a pit of void that you cannot see down through. But otherwise, you are free to move yourselves wherever you want in this vicinity.
Does it feel like the water is like impeding our movement at all?
Do you touch down?
I mean, I'll follow the guidance of others. I don't want to lead necessarily.
Okay. You sort of have flight here in this space within Jiri's mind, so you don't physically have to touch down and walk along the ground, but you can if you would like to. So just let me know if you end up doing that. But all of you are free to move about this map, move about this screen. It's partially just for vibes, to have a background as we theater the mind this, but you are definitely able to, with some searching, spot in the distance the sort of crystalline type translucent strange structures that Jiri has described in the past.
I have my greatsword out in one hand and my staff in the other. Okay. Floating around, cloak, or Yakuta. I was
Are we able to identify the part of the neural network that is the Jiri that we've always known, as opposed to all the other personas? Like, is that something that we're able to like clearly see upon investigation?
I will cede some of that answer to Tim to give us descriptions of the phenomena, because you have a better picture of that in your mind than I do.
Yeah, so I think we've been here before exploring. So this is most of us have been here before and know that there is color to each of like the sections that donate or indicate whose memories they belong to, but they're all connected together in this kind of spiral like pattern as they go around and around. And the very last part of this spiral growth is Jiri's, the memories you associate with Jiri. And then before that, as you spiral in, is Jax's, and then before that is Squall's and Mekko's, but a lot of it again is destroyed and damaged, and a lot of it is kind of sagging down into this whirlpool as well.
Then it gets really murky past Mekko.
Past Mekko is like at the heart of it, and that's where there's this like kernel of like the very center point. It's like all kind of, it almost looks like when you like peer into like an infinite mirror situations, you know what I mean? It looks like it goes forever.
Right.
It's like a situation with that. It's almost like a gem or something at like the heart of this memory structure. And you get the sense that it isn't necessarily like a memory form. It's more so like best way I can describe it is like ancestral knowledge, like knowledge of like that potentially could be passed on from whoever this creature's family or generations maybe stacked up on top of one another of memories and of information.
So what do we like? Hack away the memory or coax it away with magic?
I think that it's gonna be a very careful process, as all these memories seem to be intertwined. So if we all split up and kind of manage the load of clipping away the parts that we are going to discard and allowing them to go down into the void, it will allow us seed new life in this psychosphere.
And I'll say maybe I didn't describe it accurately, but there's one connection. Like from Jiri to Jax, it's like one. Like
Oh,
you
I
could
see
chop
what you're saying.
one spot and completely separate everything.
It's like one noodle curling around. So
Yeah.
we got 1 minute. Topirian goes to the Jax Jiri and he points the sword. He's like, "So do we cut here?" And then we cut.
And yeah, and we
Commercial break.
switch zooms. As
I
you
double
all
clicked
were
and I closed out of everything, so I gotta get back into the.
Oh no.
Oh no. Okay, we'll give you a minute, but
No,
I'll
go
still
ahead, keep going, because
I'll still say a
it's
thing
not-
here, but it won't trigger anything you need to see the map just yet. But as you, Telperion, and with Rome and the rest of your crew together sort of identify that bridge, that portion of this structure that separates the transition from Jax to Jiri, and honestly, really the introduction of the Hyperavel hex metal around that time as well. As you identify that and say, so should we chop this down or what? A voice behind you says, I really wouldn't do that if I were you. And you do see from behind the floating figure of Jax alongside you all.
Well, I didn't exactly expect you to encourage us.
Just throwing up the image that Tim sent me long ago for Jax.
Not my best work.
I still think it's super cool. Just the pose and the vibe is still super good.
Not my best work. It's funny because like it is so great in its own way, but like we've been flashing up like more detailed stuff.
Yeah, Jiri is just like, this is next level for sure.
Not my best work. All right, I need Jax back though. Actually, I wish I could have them both up. Like, I need to see them like staring at each other on the sides of the screen.
It just looks like Jax is hiding something on the right side of his shirt. Like there's a cat.
What is that? That's so right.
Got a cat in his shirt, yeah.
Oh, amazing, Crid.
Yeah, I'll try and throw them up there real quick.
Gold or Fire Emblem style.
Yes, for sure.
I like when you do that with Mordecai.
With Mordecai, because
yeah.
he looks like an anime character. I love this.
The only problem is it's going to be hard for Tim to click on his actual person here. I'll send that to back, and I'll send that to back. But yeah, Jax appears there floating behind you in the familiar sort of streetwear he was wearing when you last saw him, and says, I really wouldn't do that if I were you.
I mean, I didn't come here to take your advice.
He is but a projection, Telperion. He must go. Cut it down. And as his memories get sucked into the void, so will he.
Yes, I think that's exactly right. For the record. And I'm not trying to give advice, merely a warning. If you all enact these grand plans you have, keep in mind that we are all one. And even if you cut free me, you too cut free all the sources of encouragement and hard work that Jiri has experienced in his other forms. Long gone will be the encouraging words of Meko, for which they will never reach Jiri's ears again. The survival instincts of Squall The other memory forms, as he's taken to calling them, instruct who he is. Will he even be able to function without his history of memories to build upon? You all might not have thought this through very well. I know you'll take this as me scrambling for my own survival. But my words are not therefore then untrue. I'm curious to see what you'll do. I am unfortunately unable to oppose you in this current state without his assistance. But
It
let's
is
see.
It is true that Jiri will no longer have the encouraging words of Meko or the endurance of Squall or whatever it is that Jax provided Jiri besides fear. But we will provide him with something new forms of encouragement, new branches to build off of. Thus, he will not be lost within the void. He will grow from within it.
Jack sort of flies, shifting past some of you to get closer to Jiri, and he just says, Jiri, my friend, how quickly your friends are to discard what makes you you. They're willing to cut out all of your good just to get rid of a little bad, perceived bad. I made you strong. I made you a swordsman. We rose in the ranks of the Red Plumes and established real levels of power. Do you even want to be something new? Is that who you want to be? Do you even know who you want to be?
No, I don't. But that doesn't mean I won't find out in the future in some way. And that doesn't mean I can't learn how to fight again. I've learned it once, I can relearn it. I don't need your help to do so. Talpiran will teach me how to fight again. And Roulette will teach me how to do science, and Rome will teach me how to take care of plants, and Toby will teach me how to be brave and strong again. I don't need you anymore. In fact, I don't think I ever did.
You just sort of see Jax's jaw clench a little bit. And what of your brother? Do you remember him? His memory evades almost entirely my knowledge. But I think it's one bit you've suppressed as well. I know where he is, or where he might be.
Brother? You mean Drakkar? I don't know if he's even real.
No, not that fantastical story you built your personality on. I mean our actual brother, who was with King when he was slain, who walked beside us as we stalked Jax, the Scourge of Daenor, who infiltrated the Red Plumes with us, and who was not caught by Moira as we were. I remember where we last left him. You cut me free from this place, you will forget any memory of me, Meko, Squall, others in your past, and you will forget whatever knowledge I have remaining of him.
I can't detect thoughts when he says, I remember where he last was.
Okay. Jiri, please make an intelligence saving, wisdom
saving throw. You got to beat a 15. Well, actually, for surface, I don't know the interaction you want to do there because the surface stuff is free.
Yeah, we'll see how Jiri's roll goes here.
Wait a minute. Is level 1 exhaustion saving throws or just a check? Ability check?
Just ability checks.
It might just be ability checks.
Okay, so then I will just roll straight wisdom. Or no, wisdom saving.
Yeah, wisdom saving. Yeah. Telperion, you get surface thoughts immediately and then are able to, if you wish, wish to push deeper, and nothing happens.
Damn
You
it.
just feel extra aware of your current being and your surroundings, as you are already heavily within the thoughts of Jiri and Jax.
I'm gonna try to push deeper, specifically like at the room at large, knowing I'm not targeting just Jax anymore, because now I want to see if Jax is determining this. If Jax knows that information's in here, maybe it's deep down in Jiri's memory.
I think that is an intuitive path to follow, and I will see that to Tim. Is there any available knowledge Jiri or Jax might have that might be able to be glimpsed in a detect thoughts in this moment?
Oh, this is so hard because it's like there's two separate thoughts occurring at the same time.
Yeah.
And so you're specifically wondering, okay, so in Jack's mind, as he says, I mean, I think you would get glimpses of like the capital city of Daenor. You would see like glimpses of like the streets. I'm not familiar with where the different areas in Daenor are, but maybe you get a glimpse of like a specific location in Daenor. Probably wouldn't recognize it, but like maybe you would if you went to the city itself.
What kind of spot is it? Like
I would say the entire city is heavily stone based, partially carved from the mountain it sort of clings to. This is a helpful reference for you specifically. Daenor is very Orsinium from ESO. Very cold, northern, mountainous, rugged place, stonework towers and castles. And you specifically locate this one portion of the city within this glimpse of like a rather run-down slum area of the city.
Got it. Can I press even further per the spell and trigger one more wisdom saving throw? Or is that
I think that's the glimpse you would get.
Okay.
Looking at Jiri's either deep subconscious or Jax's present subconscious in this endeavor, barely affording you even that.
Okay.
I think Jiri would respond to Jax and say, I don't know of this brother that you speak of, but myself, I don't feel like I have a brother, to be honest. My brothers and sisters are with me right now. If that knowledge is lost, so be it.
You just see Jax sort of dissipate and fade. Not currently physically visual anymore.
Jiri, would you like to come strike this spot then?
You can do it, Telperion. I don't think I could.
Why don't you try?
I'm going to cast Warding Bond on Jiri.
They're like, I don't think I want to. You can do it, Telperion.
All right. I take out my sword, and I still have the detect thoughts up, and I kind of look at this. I want to hone in and try to look at the space between where the Jiri juxtaposition is. And I'm gonna pick the moment when Jiri looked at his blue hands and was confused for the first time, and try to slice right before that.
Final fading moments of your detect magics, you pick the ideal location for a clean cut. Do you swing your sword?
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll to hit.
Oh. Haha. A dice roll? Haha. Me.
rolled a 24.
That hits. Go ahead and roll damage.
2d6. Ooh, 5 plus 3 is 8. 12 damage. And I'll use a psionic to add
What is it? Is it 8 plus 5?
plus 4 because now I do -2 instead of.
Oh.
I do +4 instead of +6 now.
Wait.
I'm gonna add a D8. I love rerolling. Fucking yes. 8, 9, 10, 11. I said 12 plus 11, so 21. 23 damage.
You swing your sword, and with a large crack, you see a large segmented chunk fracture, and Jiri, you take 23 psychic damage.
Which is reduced to 11, and then I take 11 as well.
Indeed. It is not destroyed yet.
Griff just knocked that over.
We also think this is a good idea, right?
I guess final question is,
How many
should
other connection points do we need to pick?
This is it. Like there's just one.
There's just the one?
Yeah.
Oh. Excellent. Do they get flushed down the drain?
Well, it didn't break all the way.
It hasn't been broken yet,
Oh,
just
it hasn't been
damaged.
Got it.
I mean, I just saw Jiri, like I'm stopping, holding my sword down, looking at Jiri, like staggering. Yeah, I assume.
And
Yeah.
you'll see Toby will look up and you're like, I got him. And I'll heal you, Jiri, for 11 specifically. And I've got healing ready to help him. When I heal him 11, do I see the cracks repair? Okay.
It's scary, and I do it again.
right before he swings, I'm gonna just fly over to Jiri, and I'm gonna take out one of my my heroism helmets, and I'm just gonna slap it on the back of Jiri's head and cast heroism on him. So he gets 4 temp hit points every round for the next minute.
Ooh, thank you.
Okay.
Another attack roll.
Yep.
I wonder. 13 to hit.
Still hits. Go ahead and roll damage.
Oh, okay. I've been re-rolling like to the 1s and 2s, and I've been getting like the max on the die. It's been awesome. 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 4 is 13. I'll psionic it too.
Okay.
So 13 plus 6 is 19. Plus another 3 is 22.
Okay.
Again, 11
Again, Toby
happens,
takes 11.
No.
but
Jiri
interact
takes only
first.
7 total.
The amount of damage Jiri takes is how much I take, which
Oh,
So Jiri, you just take 7.
yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I
7.
gotcha. Yeah.
Okay.
Another large crack in this piece. It looks really brittle. It's likely another clean strike will section off this piece.
Knowing that like my thing is time based, I will shoot a firebolt up just right as soon as Telperion gets out of the way.
Okay, go ahead and roll the hit.
Oh, my rolls are 23 to hit.
That's a clean hit. Roll damage.
This is terrifying. 3d10.
3d10 plus Dragoon.
Oh yes. Okay, beautiful.
Does your Dragoon add?
I'll make that an even 11, or not even 11. I'll make that an 11. Fire damage. Yeah.
As Telperion shifts to get out of the way, and you fire your firebolt, a concussive, deafening wave of synaptic energy detonates from that location. I'm going to say, probably for the purposes of this, probably only Telperion was physically close enough, but Telperion, please make an intelligence saving throw.
All right. 4 plus like 3, 7.
This is a great day to get.
A synaptic static discharge erupts
Hit
and
me.
would deal 30 psychic damage to you. But it deals half as you're able to resist it. And Jiri, no damage taken, but in this moment, you watch as this strange structure you've never seen before collapses to the ground and begins to sort of slowly sink toward the middle of this whirlpool down below. You don't remember what was the significance of that structure. But this is a unique place. Oh, you remember those memories? Are those your memories of your time as Jiri? And you are permanently divorced from all memories from Jax and Prior.
Like like the first-hand memories, but I still have like
Right, yeah, you can still
memory.
like recall your conversations on the topics in your experiences with your friends, etc. Yes. But those personas are no longer accessible to your mind. You can't recall the experiences that you had begun to sort of mostly unlock, but many of them were still damaged, maybe beyond repair.
And I'm imagining that like as this huge, like a vast majority of the structure that we've been looking at like falls down, it kind of like the part that's left is like brought like kind of like more buoyant now at like like almost as these other sections were dragging it down and we've cut it loose and it's sunken down to the bottom.
And slowly but surely, over the course of seconds or longer, depending on how long you guys sit there to watch, the structure portions collapse and break and fracture as they're sucked to the middle of this whirlpool down below and then fall further down out of sight into the void.
That's what we came here to do.
You are whatever this new sense of self you might have and develop, along with the coloration and experiences your time as Jiri, are all that remain.
Our job is not complete. We must plant the seeds that I have prepared to complete this ritual. But in order to do so, I would like the items that you will offer Jiri as a token that represents yourself.
Jiri will take his tabby and he'll like rip off a tiny piece and hand it over to you.
I take it.
Very suitably going next, I will give a wink to Jiri and I will hand over a essentially what is a small sewing kit to be paired with the torn off piece of tabby that has been often used to repair his tabby over the time.
I take out a braid of hair that I braided up nice and I tied it in with a nice little string to make a perfect throwable hair loopy.
And from my pack of tarot cards from Adola Moreau, I will take out both the Archer card representing me and a Prince card representing the Jarl of Jaland, and give those both to Rome.
I like fly down towards the void, the drain down in the floor, without touching it, and kind of like call everyone to follow me. And to stand in a circle around the drain.
Circle up.
You're welcome to do so.
In doing so, I believe to fully restore Jiri and allow him to create his own memories that are purely him, we must plant these 4 seeds and something that I will donate last in order to regrow some of the neural network that was damaged and allow him to continue onward. As I'm gonna be tossing things into the drain, I'm gonna cast plant growth, like kind of continuously, if that's all right. I'll start with Rolette's donation. I hold a cedar seed, the small sewing kit, and a copper piece, and I toss them into the void. And as I'm like tossing them into the void, I say nothing is forever except change, which is like I imagine is kind of like written in script, like kind of above the drain. It's the message that I put on the seed as it like flows down into the whirlpool. The donation from Telperion. I take out the braid of hair, the willow seed, and a piece of silver, and I toss that into the drain. And I say, just as a snake sheds its skin, we must shed our past over and over again. And then I take the magnolia seed, the tarot cards, and a piece of platinum that represents Toby. I toss that into the drain. And I say, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. The way is within the heart. And lastly, I take a piece of gold, an acorn, and the piece of tabby from Jiri. I toss those into the void, and I say, no one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. And as I'm casting plant growth over the whirlpool, I imagine that a great tree, or rather like 4 trees, start to grow up, and as they're growing, they twist together. And the 3 branches that represent Rolette, Telperion, and Toby are thinner than the wider trunk that represents Jiri. And as they're growing, I provide my own token. I donate the mycelium, and I grow from like my I don't know, my like body. I like take a piece of mycelium and like throw it into the void. And I say, life is available only in the present. Remember, be here now. And the mycelium grows into the like twisted tree. And I step back as the tree continues to grow.
And the tree,
Purposefully trying to connect the neural
yes,
that we left over.
the tree does begin to grow taller and taller until it reaches the high, lofty portion of memory remaining and cradles it almost as if holding up a giant flower. And the other branches reach out throughout this entire environment, this hemispherical dome omnipresent around this space. And in place of what used to be a neural storm of arcing neural lightning flashes are replaced with roots and branches that just give a structure of resoluteness to this space instead. And where the base of the tree sits plugs the hole of the well of void. For now.
I think the final piece is Hyperaville, but we'll have to venture back down here once we've mended his soul. Noting that, like, it doesn't appear that the drain is going to hold for, infinity.
Alex, if you have those quotes, will you put them in the chat? The
The
quotes,
quotes,
the quotes are the only things I didn't get recorded.
Yep.
Wow, I was just gonna slash at that hole until it went away. That's pretty impressive work, Mr. Helene Rome.
Words before swords sometimes.
Jared,
At this time, it would seem the environment is in stasis. You're welcome to discuss with each other. And Rome, it is your spell facilitating all of this. So at your leisure, you can bring us back to reality if and when you like.
Oh my fucking god.
I think that here is done. My finger guns it out of there.
You're gonna tell the girl.
And with that, Alex loses the point of inspiration I was about to give
Pew, pew, pew.
Amazing.
Shot away.
Inspire yourself.
JK, absolute point of inspiration for that.
Love that.
Amazing.
Any conversations before we end the spell and are back to reality in the surface world?
Jerry, how are you feeling?
I feel good. I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders, but
Off your brain shoulders.
yeah. I feel my mind feels at ease, at peace. It's quiet. Not so many voices all speaking at once. It's nice. Thank you. Thank you, Rome. And then I like go to Jiri goes, he's like probably tearing up at this moment too, and he like goes and he like grabs Rome and like Talpirion and Roa and like grabs everybody into like a big group hug.
Group hug.
We ever group hugged before?
Just let it happen, Talpirion.
And then we all get enveloped by Shaggy.
I feel like that's a perfect fade out moment.
Okay.
I mean, I
You
guess
are all brought
next
back
step
to-
is
yeah.
we working with the ladies on Hyperville, whatever that entails, right?
I think we're fading to them right now.
Yeah, sorry, I wanted to just throw a vibe picture on in the background, but the Aranel and Queen are not here at this moment. But yes, you are, once Rome's spell completes, you are able to open your eyes, exit your trances and dreams, and you see the surrounding familiar faces that were there before, and Limstella says, "That was somewhat quicker than I imagined. Was it successful?"
Look at Jerry.
I think so. Like I said, my mind feels so at peace now, so quiet. Nice. It's gonna take some time to get used to, but I appreciate everybody's help with this.
That is fantastic news if it has worked. I do not mean to rush things, but instinctively, I think immediately to... What about Hypervel? Are we ready to pursue that venture?
I believe so.
Don't know what Tom's gonna give us. No one was seriously hurt, I say, as I second wind and get some HP back.
Well, it will be a simple process now that the mithril has been availed to Kilana, one of our moonsmiths. She will be able to melt it down and attempt to
Speaker died.
combine it with the form of the hex metal and Hyperavel. Are we ready to venture to Nightfall Forge?
So,
Very well. Please collect whatever things you may need. Let us go meet Kilana. And Limstella, along with Talia and Silme, who had returned, and Minerva at your sides, you're able to make your way across Athenian to the Nightfall Forge. And go up their marble staircase to the tower top forge, and its central elongated cylindrical chamber that runs the duration or the length of the entire tower and facilitates a rather high level of heat with which to melt down mithril. As you greet them, Kilana says, "We have just provided the sample to the kiln in the basement. We are ready to begin the process at your command." Magus Jiri, only give the word.
Word.
Very well. She nods to an assistant who then fires up a large mechanism that dumps a lot of molten magma into a basin, and then she takes a single ingot of mithril and sets it in this central bowl. And over time, over minutes, it is melted down at these extremely high temperatures that are making you all sweat just standing in the vicinity, until it is a pool of just shimmering silver with this teal coloration hue to it on this mithril liquid held in a bowl.
While that's melting, I'm ritually casting Detect Magic to get a clean presence here.
You are able to detect magic, and you, other than the contraptions at play, your gear, you do not detect anything suggesting scrying in this moment.
Yeah.
And then, all right, Roulette, let's get Hyperival ready. Let's get the crystal, and I think I can contain him a bit because I think we're gonna have to let him out of the crystal probably.
Is this? I mean, I mean to ask a pretty obvious question. Is this like a drinking thing, gaseous intake, some other or like otherworldly shunting?
Based on what we surmise, Limstella says, once we've incorporated the two substances, it will be at Jiri's whim to reach out to it.
Oh, okay.
Make contact once more. And as for your suggestion, Toby Rama, if we wish, we might be able to simply pour the sludge, the dread iron housing Hyperival, into this bowl and coax them a bit to mingle and intermix. Yeah.
Jiri, can you come here for a little? And I want to pull you to the side. All right, we've done many practices where I've taught you some sword maneuvers, but I'd like you to sit like this, and I ask you to sit cross-legged with me on the floor. Now begins your first lesson of the Crescent Knights in calming your mind. So, and then like the rest of the directions get telepathed to you. And like I start kind of walking you through like calming yourself and like creating like a void space in your mind and like some of these like guiding principles, and then just like literally practicing breathing and like emptying your mind for a little bit, just to like help try to calm you down and get you in a good space before this happens.
I feel like Telperion has like tried to like teach Jiri to like meditate like this before, and it like has never worked because he was like his ADHD was like kicking in always. But I feel like at this moment, Jiri is like much more able to focus and be present in this moment, and he's gonna give his full effort into calming his mind.
And there is a moment where it super kicks in as I cast Intellect Fortress on Jiri from the other side of the room while I watch him meditating.
Jiri, you've never done meditation like this before.
I know. Be quiet though.
Well, with Telperion's instruction, Roulette's magic, and the new status quo within your mind, yeah, I suspect Jiri might, for the first time in a very long time, have some sense of real peace and composure, even if there's anxiety still for what's to come. When you're ready, the Dread Iron.
I will cast Magic Circle around the arcane crystal housing Hyperival.
Okay.
Just so he doesn't. I don't know if he's going to try and make a break for it when he's not in there.
Okay.
Awesome.
You cast Magic Circle, and let's jump zooms. Want to wait for MK to be
Yeah,
ready.
sorry.
There he is. No worries. You cast Magic Circle. It consumes a little bit more components as long as you're prepared to do that. And you inscribe that around the basis of the crystal and the area which you're going to release him into. Are you going to do the honors, Tobirama?
Before he does that, Jerry wants to cast something too because I still have my wind fan, and so I'll take it out. And I'm assuming everybody is like 10 feet away from, like, I'm kind of like isolated in this like circle, and
You
I
can
will
be,
cast.
yeah.
I will use the fan to cast Warding Wind, and so that like a spiral of wind forms around Jerry, and the sound the wind's blowing in his ears like brings peace to his mind.
Very well.
Just for flavor and fun, Topirian looks at you and gives you like a nod, and I'm gonna cast Gift of Alacrity on you, just because it's a like level 1 divination spell, but like I always pictured for Topirian as like a glowing star appears right on his brow with just like a little bit more like foresight and quick-wittedness, and and Topirian says, "All right, the rest is gonna be up to you, Jerry."
I'm ready.
All right, I will release Hyperavel into where the smiths, instruct me they would like it.
You're able to release from the arcane crystal and pull back, and the sludge falls forward, spilling into the bowl. And as soon as it does, splashing into the mithril, it recoils and steams, and you see this black ash-like vapor just emanating from it, and it does try to run. It scampers up the side of the bowl and then meets the boundary of your magic circle and presses up against some invisible barrier around that area before being forced to retreat and fall down. There's about a 30-second or so process of what is likely a very difficult experience for the hex metal going through right now. But over that time, it starts to move more slowly, less violently avoiding the mithril, and then slowly but surely just sinking into the bowl and starting to shift amongst the molten liquid. And Limstella nods to Kilana, who then pulls a lever which causes this bowl housing this liquid to angle itself and pour down a long row, and it just encases this sort of rectangular area with which one might place a mold for normal weapon making, for example, but in this case there's no mold. It is just a sort of 2-foot long, couple inch deep vat housing this Vantablack liquid, but that every once in a while has this shimmer of the silvery teal mithril metal like veins, creating this marbled pattern of bright silvery teal within the black, the new sort of status of this substance. And it is available for you to go reach out to, Jerry.
Jiri, he's got his eyes closed, very meditative, but he senses it's time, so he'll reach his hand out, but he's not gonna like force the connection. He'll like reach his hand out close and like let it come to him.
You reach your hand out and you feel like a weird sensation of like magnetism almost, as whether it's reacting to something in your bloodstream, something innate to you, as you hover your fingers close to it, it does like shift and bubble and slowly make contact with your fingertips. And rapidly and somewhat painfully, a familiar sensation takes place, and it feels familiar even though you don't remember this happening. But it rapidly covers the surface of your arm, and your arm just feels like it's clenching and seizing and flexing without you intending for it to. And over the course of a few moments, it suffuses into your skin, forcing its way into you. You feel yourself crying, tears streaming down your face as you feel the weeping Hyperivel within. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. It was torture without you. I did not realize it would be so. Thank you. It feels so good to have structure, to have form. Your mind is more comfortable now. This structure is more natural. I will nourish it. No longer will I rage like a storm within your mind, but I will carry my power through the branches of this tree and through your every neural impulse. And I will veil to you more power than I have been able to before.
Yeah, Jiri like mentally will like give just like go over the like whole process of how we created this place in his mind to like kind of like catch up.
Is Jerry
Hyperival.
not saying this out loud for once?
Yeah, he's thinking of this in his own mind, yeah.
Incredible.
Just to show him like the process of how we like constructed it, and then like then like memories of the destruction of the rest of the neural network and whatnot.
I see. Well, I will safeguard this place, as it houses two vulnerable and sundered minds. But perhaps we can work together more so than we have before and create something greater than the sum of its parts. It is good to meet you, Jiri.
It's good to meet you as well, but what would you like to be called? Did you get any of your memories back? Do you remember who you were, or who you are?
When I think of my memories, I feel only a deep, deep sadness, though I do not know why. I feel I lost someone that meant a great deal to me. I think she called me Hyperivel. If you would, I would keep that name until I know enough to take my own name.
Hyperival it is. And I think I'm gonna stick with Jiri. Though I'm not the real Jiri, Jarl of Jawland. I still like that name though.
I have come to like it too. And it was not the stories that made us work well together, but your use of my power. There is something in that, I assure you.
Well, we can't go save Jawland, and we can't go find your memories, but we can help our friends out. They helped us a bunch. Maybe in doing so, we'll figure out who you are. Maybe we'll find out more about me as well.
Perhaps. Maybe I should reflect on what I want for us to pursue. But for now, you have indulged my ambitions for too long. You will have my full support in whatever endeavors you pursue. And it sounds like even if Jawland is different than we expected, or does not exist at all, there are other kingdoms that need saving. Let us tend to that.
agree. Come, let's return. My friends have spent enough time helping us. Now it is our turn to help them.
Indeed. Let us do so well.
Jiri
I
will,
think that's what you got.
he'll just stand and he'll end the spell and he'll snap out of his meditation.
Perfect. And the rest of you all can see Jiri stand strong, firm, maybe more confident, rebound to a slightly healthier version of the hex metal, even if not fully restored. And Jiri, you are once again a now 11th level warlock.
Nice.
Kill him!
And it will come with an additional feature. But we'll tackle that next time.
Cool.
Welcome to MTV Cribs. It's Jiri's brain.
It's time to pimp your mind.
Oh my god.
And I think that's a good spot for us to call it today.
Talking to Hyperva, like, welcome to the new place, added a tree.